Welcome to Perilous Paths here on GDQ Hotfix. My name is Cutie, and as always, we focus on adventurous and challenging speedruns here. But before we talk about what we're doing today, I want to let you know that you can go to gdq.gg/hotfix or gamesdonequick.com/hotfix schedule, I think. Both of them will get you there to look at what we are doing for the rest of the week here. And if you take a look at that, you'll notice that right after this show, the Scenic Route is doing Metroidvanias, something very near and dear to my heart. So strap in. We're going to have an amazing 6 hours here today. But let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here. We have what is maybe the most Perilous Paths category we have ever had. We are doing Doom 64, the UnMaking, a super hardcore version of Doom. I'm not going to try to explain it. We have someone better for that. But we are doing a category simply called Watch Me Die Max. And I cannot think of a better category for this show than something called Watch Me Die. So let's go ahead and bring in Zello, who is going to be telling us a lot more about what all of this includes and how we're going to go about it and what we can expect to see here. I am super excited for this one. Zello, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Cutie. Hi, everyone. I'm Zelo or Zello, however you want to say it. I also have my lovely Cacodemon Pale Elemental, you will see a lot of in this run. Let me set them down for just a second. But Doom 64 is a game I love. Played it a whole bunch growing up. You've seen me do it in GDQ a couple of times in the past, as well in different hotfixes. Ever since I started doing this for hotfix back in 2019. Well, we're doing something a little different today for Doom 64. We're actually doing a custom WAD set called the UnMaking. This is a somewhat brand new level set for Doom 64 made by Squibba. Released back in 2020 for Doom 64 EX, which was a source port of the original game. And then once we got the Night Dive remaster, this got ported to the remaster with some extra levels as well. I want to give a quick shout out to Helix, who had me on with the Watch Me Die Speed category for Parallel Universe last year, but we're going to be doing the Watch Me Die Max category instead. So we'll go right here to the main game, the UnMaking. Watch Me Die is the hardest difficulty in the game. It is equivalent to Ultra Violent to Doom, and Max means we're going to be getting 100% kills and secrets in every level, except for one very specific level, which we will talk about. But this is a long run, so strap in. Also be aware there will be a good amount of flashing lights and just kind of bright imagery in this WAD in particular, just because of the custom textures. So I just wanted to give a heads up on that. But we'll get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, have fun. And speaking of plushies, I forgot to show it off. I do have an Isabella plushie with me. Doom canonically official Isabella plushie. No, I'm just kidding. But if you know, you know. And if you don't, Google it.
Alright, so we're starting off here in Old Dog New Tricks. You might be seeing me punch all these barrels, and that's not just because I'm angry at them. Just like in the original Doom 64 campaign, blowing up all the barrels in the level actually opens up the exit to the super secret level of this WAD. So we need to blow up, I think it's 14 barrels or something like that. There's a lot. So we're going to activate the switches. We're going to be blowing up all these barrels as we go. We also picked up a Berserk Pack at the very beginning of the level. The Berserk Pack refills my health to 100 since a barrel decided to explode right in my face earlier. But it also increases my punching power by quite a bit. And early game, I don't really have a lot of good options for weapons, so the punching power is very much appreciated. That being said, it's also very dangerous because the fist is not exactly the weapon with the most range in this game, and I'm getting shot at pretty badly. Movement in Doom 64 is similar to how it is in PC Doom in general. You want to be strafe running as much as possible by going forwards or backwards and side to side at the same time. That gives you a 28% speed boost over just walking forward normally, just due to how the directions are. So like I said, we have to get all the secrets and kills in this category. This is the only level where we will not see a results screen, just because when we exit the level, the text for the super secret level supersedes the results screen. So we just kind of do a manual verification. But this is a really tough opening level just because there's just so many dangerous enemies around. It might not seem like it's dangerous, but imps and zombie men in this level are kind of nasty with how they're placed. And that's kind of the gimmick of this WAD, is that this is a very gimmicky WAD where there's going to be a lot of very experimental ideas. So if you like very weird things, this is honestly something you should probably try. But we're coming back up on the normal.
Shotgunners just as dangerous in Doom 64?
Oh, absolutely. The shotguns are so dangerous in this game because they can do anywhere from 3 to 45 damage with a single shot, if I remember right. Alright, so that should be all the barrels and all the enemies aside from the secret exit over here. There should be an imp, and this should be open if we got everything. Good. So that takes us into the super secret level. And this super secret level is actually very interesting because those of you who are familiar with 90s shooters might recognize the docking bay being from a different game. I'll let y'all in chat figure out which game that is. That being said, this is also the hardest secret level, so we need to do a lot of berserk punching again. Pinkies get introduced here, and they're pretty bulky. They can die in one hit. It's like a 30% chance or so to kill them in one punch, but odds are still not great as a whole. That being said, there are a ton of enemies that can snipe me, so this is extremely dangerous right here. There are also a ton of really difficult secrets to get. This one is actually familiar to those of you who know the map from this original game that this is from. I'm going to be doing a lot of infighting with the gunners here. Anytime I can get crossfire, it's really beneficial. Just so I don't get zapped by too many enemies at the same time, because there's no invincibility frames or anything in Doom, so if you can just get shot at by like 6 different sources at the same time and die. I really wanted to punch that barrel. I want to kind of set off that chain reaction, kind of damage a whole bunch of enemies. Explosives in this game do tons of damage, especially barrels, and if you are right next to a barrel when it explodes, you pretty much just die instantly. So
are infighting rules the
there.
same?
We've got a couple of people.
Sorry, what was that?
Are infighting rules the same in Doom 64?
Yeah, for the most part. So enemies of the same type generally can't attack each other unless they are soldiers who are shooting either bullets or shells. Most of the monsters can't attack each other. The one exception to that in this game is that Barons and Hell Knights can actually fight each other. So I'm going to do some saving because this is really dangerous. Punching Hell Knights is pretty dangerous because they have a very dangerous scratch attack. That scratch can do like 88 damage. I have armor on, which reduces damage by 1/3, but even then, that's still really dangerous. The enemies actually thinned themselves out really good right there, so that actually went way faster than normal and fairly safe. But now I'm getting shot at. Hidden secret right here. We just need to touch the sector. So secrets in this game, they can either be triggered by picking up an item or crossing over a certain sector or shooting certain things. So you just have to kind of know what kind of how each secret is triggered. So we're coming up on the exit soon, but we still need to get a few more secrets, and these are pretty cleverly hidden coming up. I also saved a few shotgun shells because imps are kind of bulky to shooting with a pistol, and I can't punch these guys across here, so having a few shells speeds us up significantly. We're going to open the door.
You just punched a fireball.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Saw that.
Don't worry about that. So we hit a hidden switch across out of that window. That opens up this passage with the Hell Knight here. We're going to punch him out. It's kind of merry-go-round my punches. There we go. And there's a hidden switch right here. This activates the switch right here, and I'm normally supposed to go all the way around, but I can actually shoot it from the stairs if I'm just on this top step. So that opens this up right here. And this gets us into a passage that we could see all the way from the very beginning of the level in the original bay. So we just punch out a few more imps. And there's a hidden Unmaker right here. The Unmaker is a special weapon exclusive to Doom 64. It is powered up by the Demon Keys. We don't have any Demon Keys right now, so we're just going to hold on to that Unmaker until we get some. But it is extremely useful as we get more Demon Keys. So now we're going to save. I'm going to be saving at the end of every level to make sure we get 100% on each result screen coming up. And we're good right there. So that's the end of Docking Bay into Manic Marines. So the Marines in this game, if you've watched the intro cutscene when you boot up the base game, you'll notice the Marines in that map. They are exclusively designed for that. But here, Squibba started using Marines as kind of an obstacle, because I don't want to say they're friendly. The Marines are helpful because they'll target enemies, but if there's no enemy to target, the Marines will target you instead. So, and we need to rely on the Marines later on this level because there's not really a whole lot of ammo early on. So the Marines need to do a lot of the work for us in this level. So we're going to activate this hidden secret with a zombie man. There's a bunch of Marines that show up now. They're going to focus on the enemies for a bit, so I'm going to have them do that and also do as much damage as I can with my own stuff. And then once they're thinned out, we'll clean everything up with the Unmaker, because the Unmaker is very useful still. I would want to save the ammo a bit more, but we need it. It's the only like really powerful weapon that's accurate, so it's good for getting them off these platforms here. Interestingly enough, the Unmaker actually counts as a hit scan weapon like my bullets and shells, even though it fires lasers. The lasers are just an effect, which actually means I was able to hit a switch off in the distance using a laser. It's the only weapon that does that. It's just a weird peculiarity. So Marine's clearing out all these pinkies right here, and they're actually doing a really good job with that. But they're going to start targeting me now, so I need to get rid of them quick. Alright, so I'm out of Unmaker ammo, but we've got plenty of shells. I'm going to use some of these barrels to help clear out the imps ahead. Like I said, this has a ton of enemies in it, so any help we can get is useful.
Yeah, this is...
Alright, that should be good enough, so we'll go ahead and clear the rest out with the shotgun.
so many more enemies than a normal Doom 64 map.
Yeah, the levels in this are very, very dense. So we've got this big room. We're going to hit this switch and get all the Marines to flood over. And hopefully they're going to actually target enemies. This is an extremely random room. I have time swings in this level from, like, in the range of, like, 30 seconds because of how the Marines act. We wanted to activate this secret that's behind here as well while we're doing all that. This Marine's not going to cooperate, so we're just going to kill him off. But yeah, just ammo management's difficult in this level. Extremely random. I try and find the shotguns where I can, but it's very random where these shotgunners walk around. That was actually pretty good, so I think we got everything here, so hopefully that'll be everything. Nice, a 244 IGT is actually really good for that. Alright, so Hex Complex, this is a peculiar level where you see all these hexagons right here, and the way the Doom 64 handles a lot of its levels, even in the base game, there's a lot of scripting with what we call macros, which is a scripting language exclusive to Doom 64, and these macros do a lot of different like level layout changes, which is really cool. This one in particular raises and lowers these hexagons into different shapes and sizes, and you just kind of keep doing that until you reach the top of the room. So you're going to see a lot of weird encounters because of that. Now, the one thing about this level, and I need to point out, is that the enemies kind of spawn in with every room change. If we do not kill all the enemies before that room change happens, they disappear. And this is bad because that means we can't kill them, which means we can't get 100% kills. So I have to take a lot of care to make sure that I kill every enemy on every way before I move on to the next one.
So are these room changes all time-based, or are there any other triggers on them?
So there are some time-based waves. This is actually time-based right here when the imps spawn in and when this changes. And then there's another time-based script that'll change the room again. So there are a lot of time-based scripts in this WoD, but there's also a lot of kill-based scripts. And that's actually one of the improvements over when I did this run last. The last time I did this run, I think it was on version 2.7. Ever since that run, Squibba updated the WoD and changed a whole bunch of things to be more speedrun friendly. And I'm running on 2.10 right now, which cut down the run of the speed category by like 20 minutes before. It was very beneficial for this category.
And Squibba is actually here with us in chat, so thank you for not only developing this, but also supporting the speedrun community, because we always love to see that.
Yeah, big shout out to Squibba. They've been very supportive as I've been like mapping out the runs for this over the last like year or so, and this has been a really fun project to take on. This category in particular was my project after I got back from GDQ earlier this year. A really fun category, but it's also very stressful because, as you can tell by that estimate, that's a really long run.
Especially for a Doom run.
Alright. So we picked up a secret chain gun, so I'm going to do some sniping right here. Chain gun's really good in this game, especially compared to PC Doom, because it actually fires a little bit faster. I'm also going to drop to this part. I'm going to shoot these two enemies that are on the ground right here. The Doom engine does not let you look up or down. It's not a true 3D engine, but weapons can auto-aim for themselves and kind of hit enemies that are above or below you, so you kind of have to just trust that. Oh, I do not like this positioning. Okay. I was afraid that shotgunner was going to hit that barrel right
Yeah,
there
that
and
vertical
kill me.
auto aim can also do things you wouldn't expect if you're not familiar with it, where you can shoot things that you don't really think are on screen because their hitbox extends so far vertically.
Yeah, there's a lot. Enemies in this game technically have infinite height. All right, so this is the last room change right here. I got all the secrets now, and we just need to slug it out with a bunch of enemies. Now, one of the changes in this level compared to previous versions is that enemies actually teleport in instead of like spawning in. And when they spawn in, they normally have a little bit of invulnerability as they're like fading into view. That was changed because Squibba felt that was a little unfair to players since they could possibly get some cheap shots on you. So now they actually teleport in from monster closets that are outside of the boundaries of the level, which makes them easier to deal with. That being said, we want to be sure we constantly have enemies spawning in so we can deal with them as soon as possible. So you'll see that I'm very, very carefully keeping it, like leashing enemies away from this teleporter that's in the lava to make sure that more things can spawn as soon as possible. Otherwise, they just kind of gum up the teleport entrance and they can't spawn in. Alright, should be dealing with just a few more enemies. This is definitely the last wave of imps that showed up right there, so there shouldn't be a whole lot left. This should be the last shotgunner. Sometimes one shotgunner takes forever to actually show up, so I'm going to hope we have 100% right here, but if not, we'll reload if we need to. Alright, good. Out of Hex Complex, no problem. Alright, so Warehouse Shuffle right here, we're going to have a secret exit coming up. This secret exit is very complicated to get to. All the secret exits in this WAD are very, very puzzle-based and take quite a bit of effort to get to. So the path to get to the secret exit up there, we're going to clear everything out up to the normal exit, and then we have to do a little bit of more stuff afterwards. So this switch over here opens up a whole bunch of stuff over there. So this allows us to get access to these switches. So normally we need to raise and lower these elevators to create jumpable platforms. You can't really jump in Doom. There's no jump button or anything like that, but whenever you leave a platform, your momentum is preserved. And that allows you to just kind of just like run off platforms and be able to just kind of like make small leaps. Something shooting me from behind. Alright, we also do need to do a little bit of extra work since we need to get secrets, so we're going to lower this one, raise back up. There's a hidden berserk right here, which will refill my health. That berserk is also really good because we need the punching power for some cacodemons that show up later. Raise that back up 3 more times. Oh, I did not want to do it this way. Okay, good. I was able to get a lucky damage roll and punch the barrels, so how far the barrels go when you punch them is dependent on the damage, and thankfully I got a very high roll, because if I got a low roll, that barrel would have exploded in my face.
Oh, is that what happened on the first level?
And I already get an... Yeah. But, I already get enough face rockets. Shoutouts to my good friend Dime. we get lots of Dime face rockets in this WAD, probably. They hurt.
I was gonna say, there is another way to jump in Doom.
Yeah, unfortunately that's not as viable in 64. There are some physics changes in 64 compared to how they are in normal PC Doom. And rocket jumping is one of those changes. I'm going to clear out these shotgunners first before they become a problem. So these cacodemons, they can bite for a bunch of damage here, but the berserk is the only really good damage option I have here, so we're just going to try and punch for them. That actually went really well, so I need to finish raising these platforms to their new heights so that we can do some more platforming in a bit. There's an imp over there. I don't like where he is. Okay, everything's in the right spot at least. We're going to drop off, get this hidden armor. There are 2 hidden specters down here. Where's the second one? There he is. Yeah. I mentioned enemies have infinite height earlier. That also means they can block you from jumping from like 30 feet below, so that's another good reason to take care of them now. But we've got the platforms in the spots we want them now, so now we're just going to clean up all the rest of the secrets. So we're going to use this chain gun. Going to line this up right here. Make that every time if you line up the right blade with a little bit of the geometry there. So we have a rocket launcher of our own now. Grab that rocket too. Now we go down to the 4th platform right here, and we can make it into this gap. So this gets us the blue key. The keys are not normally required to exit this level, but in order to get to the secret exit, we need both the blue and the yellow key. So this blue key lets us get into the next secret. So we'll backtrack to the elevator right here.
So far, it seems like we're playing in a relatively vanilla manner. Is there going to be a point where we need to use any kind of like glitching or out of bounds or clipping or anything like that to get through some of these areas?
No, thankfully you can use pretty much the same mechanics to get through. There isn't going to be anything particular like that. But there's going to be some very gimmicky maps in terms of fighting, which we'll cover when we get there. But we got the yellow key. We also picked up a Mega Armor for later. Mega Armor is really good because it reduces damage by half instead of 1/3, which is what the normal armor does. And we want to carry this Mega Armor into the level after the secret level if we can. So there's our 100%. So we get into the first proper secret level, which we'll get a demon key out of. So this is a remote control. This one's really cool. All the secret levels, I think, have really cool concepts, aside from the last one, which we'll talk about when we get there. Basically, there's shootable switches in this level, and these shootable switches cause different level scripts to happen. And the thing is, we're trapped in a very, very tiny enclosed space, and we have very little room to move. So I have to snipe off enemies as fast as possible, and also get power-ups where I can that will help me to not get completely bodied by enemies coming in.
How important is ammo management in a level like this?
There is a lot to worry about. Ray, I'm going to turn you up in just a second after this level because I can barely hear you. I just have volume down in a very specific way, so... but I picked up an invisibility power-up, which helps with dealing with this Hell Knight, because the invisibility makes the shots from enemies go in a more unpredictable manner. I'm actually really low on health, so I need to pick up some health here.
Like, right as how you said it, it helps. You dodged right into one because he missed.
Yeah, sometimes it helps. When you're not moving, it definitely helps. I'm going to tab out for just a second so I can turn Ray up on my end. That should help.
Ray can just be the angel on your shoulder whispering into your ear.
Right. All right, so we're at the exit now, but we have a bunch of secrets to get, so we need to hit a whole bunch of other hidden switches. So there's one behind that wall right there. We go in here. There's one right here behind this panel. Come on. This one's deceptively hard to hit. Come on. There we go. So once we hit that one, we're going to come back out to here, and there's a hidden switch that now appears on this side. And then once we go back over here, we grab this really nice backpack. This doubles my ammo capacity for now. And in here we hit one more switch. So this has the demon key that we need. So the demon keys, like I mentioned earlier, power up my Unmaker. This one decreases the fire rate, or increases the fire rate, decreases the firing time.
Delay.
Time, I guess. Yeah, the delay. Thank you. Decreases the delay from 8 ticks to 5 ticks. This game runs at 30 ticks per second, by the way. So it's almost double speed for my laser, which is really nice. Alright, so going into Ghost Stories, this one's one of the more, horror-based levels, in terms of, it kind of feels like a horror game, because you kind of, get into these traps that try to psych you out. We're actually going to get to very, very low amount of health right here. And this is also the one level where you cannot get 100% kills. This introduces ghost monsters as a gimmick, and due to how the ghosts work, we cannot kill those ghosts. So the highest amount of kills we can get in this level is going to be 89%. We'll still be able to get all the secrets, but 89% kills is what we're looking for, and there's a very specific way to do that. Otherwise, due to how the kill counter works in this game, if an enemy manages to successfully spawn, you need to kill it. If it does not spawn, then you don't need to kill it, which is why we can actually block enemies. That ghost managed to actually shoot me. That's very rare. Like I was saying, if an enemy doesn't manage to spawn, then you don't have to kill it, and it's not counted towards the max total. But since we're going for highest percentage, this is why we call it max. We're going for the maximum percentage we can get in every level, which is kind of leftover from early Doom games where you actually couldn't get 100% in some levels due to mapping errors. So 89% is the highest we can get, and that's done by triggering enemies in a very specific way.
I like how you
by the
turned
way, there's a
lights
cyber
on
demon
and
right here.
The pentagram just kind of disappeared.
Yeah. By the way, that cyber demon right there, there's no way to kill him because we just don't have the equipment. So we just wait until he goes away.
That's a very early cyber demon.
Yeah. Alright, this is the worst jump to make early on. This one is pretty difficult to get into. You have to make this very specific strafe. So managed to get a second try, which is pretty good. And then we have to get a plasma gun right here by walking off this edge. Nice. So that's pretty difficult to get right there. Alright. So we're going to get rid of, we're going to trigger enemies in a very certain manner. I'm going to pick up the shotgun that causes 2 specters to appear right here. So we'll kill them off. And then there's a ghost Hell Knight that's right here. We can't kill him because of the ghost property. So that ghost property, from what Squibba told me, from what I remember, is happened by having a script that spawns them and then immediately cutting off that script. And that gets them in that like weird half property state where they can't be interacted with, but they can still damage you. They can still beat the crap out of you. So that's if I remember that right. So that's how that works, if I remember correctly. And I do love how that's done, but unfortunately that also means we just have to get around them in weird ways. We picked up a chainsaw, or we picked up a berserk, but we have the chainsaw, because the chainsaw is really good in this game compared to how it is in PC Doom. It actually does, it fires twice as fast, basically. So you can actually mowed enemies down and keep them in the stun animation for a while. And it's really good at saving ammo, so I'm going to be doing a lot of that in the next level as well. I want to make sure there wasn't an enemy. I thought an imp walked by. So, another couple of imps. There are some imps and lost souls right here, so we're going to just very carefully take them out. Lost souls in this game are extremely dangerous. They have very, very aggressive attack patterns, so lost souls are generally a high priority. Alright, 89% and 100% kills. That's the max we can get. Alright, so we're on to starting packing plant right here. We're going to get our only secret. We get a light amplification goggles in the cubby hole right there. And this is just a bunch of fights. A whole bunch of enemies are going to spawn in. So we're just going to pick up the rockets and slug it out for a while. So there's 4 teleporters, 1 at each corner here. We just want to make sure enemies keep coming in, and we'll deal with them as they come in. So there is a lot of stuff. You're intended to use the rocket launcher to mostly blow them away, but I want to save those rockets for the next level because the rockets are more useful there. And there's actually a very interesting quirk with this level. So in older versions of UnMaking, you could actually reach the exit switch early by accident. I didn't know this until Squibba told me. They made that change to not have that happen. But there's actually a second exit switch that's out of bounds, which we won't be using since we need 100% kills. I was actually able to access that out of bounds switch, and I told them, like, hey, this is actually possible to reach, and they were like, oh, that wasn't supposed to be possible. So they actually intentionally changed it to where it's harder to trigger that hidden exit switch that's out of bounds, but it's still possible, so if you're good enough to like find the positioning for it, which is a nice little Easter egg. So I actually use that in the speed category, which is basically the any %. So that's a fun little bit of trivia. But like I said, we need to slug it out because we need 100% kills. There's a whole bunch of monsters in monster closets that are outside of the playing area. Those Hell Knights actually showed up really fast, so I'm actually going to start using my rockets now. The Crusher probably did a lot of the work there. Crushing damage in this game can do quite a bit of damage. So, oh, there's one more over there. Oh, die please. Come on. It was going so well. So that should be everything right there.
I love how the bodies don't despawn, they just stay there.
Yeah, they generally just stay there, so you can actually trigger some funny glitches with that in PC Doom. Anyways, we're on to Dead Man's Switch. This is an interesting gimmick right here. This is like the first really open level in the WAD. So in the main room where we started, there's actually kind of like a HUD that tells you to like, hey, there's these locations that you need to clear out enemies from, and that's how you like progress to the end. And that map in the middle of the room actually updates as you clear the rooms, which is a really neat effect. But we need to go through all these open spaces and clear out all these enemy waves, and you have to do this in a very specific order because we actually went to the bar first to get the yellow key and the super shotgun, which is really, really good in this game. And then the yellow key is actually needed in order to get into the prison right here. So routing this out was this was like one of the more challenging levels to route out because you had to figure out a good order for doing everything, and also worry about ammo, enemy positions, and such like that. Also, I picked up a nice invulnerability, so we can just kind of face rocket for now.
The super shotgun's really good in this game. What's different? Because it's really good in base Doom as well.
It is still good in base Doom. So the super shotgun actually fires 20 pellets. For reference, the normal shotgun fires 7 pellets. So it basically does 3 times the amount of damage that a normal shotgun would do, despite despite being only firing 2 shells. The thing about 64 is that there are some weapon balance changes in 64 compared to PC Doom, and the Super Shotgun actually fires just slightly faster, so it's even better than it is in PC Doom. Yeah, just ever so slightly faster reload time on that.
Buff.
Yeah, it's so good in this game. This room, this is changed to where we just have to wait out a timer now. So we cleared out everything already. So we just wait for the wall to come down. So we're gonna get a hidden secret out here. If you could jump across this pool, you come down over here. So we trigger the secret area, get some rockets over on this side as well. Rockets are all extremely useful. Clear out the enemies on this side. So this is a little bit of a nasty encounter coming up. There's going to be several Mancubi in cages. We're going to try and get to the outside after grabbing this Soul Sphere, which gives me 100 health. The Mancubi can die in 3 or 4 direct rockets. It's a little luck dependent, and it's more common to have 4. Damage in this game is very random, especially for the rocket launcher. The rocket launcher has 2 components for damage. It fires slash damage, which is distance based, so the closer the rocket is to the target, the more damage it does. And then there's just a direct damage. If you manage to hit a target directly, it also does direct damage, which is anywhere from 20 to 160 damage in increments of 20, which is a very big amount of range. So because of like how splash damage works, it can do up to 128 damage. That means your rockets, if you get a really unlucky rocket, your rocket will do half the damage of an extremely lucky rocket, which is really bad on levels that rely on rockets for the main source of damage. Anyways, this is the Unmaker. This is also what we call the pew-pew gun. The nice laser pointer, as we also like to call it. So with the demon key that we got earlier, this is a pretty significant speed buff. Really nice. There's a hidden key that we need to grab right here. That's for a secret later. Clear this out. A hidden backpack counts as a secret right here. And then we're just gonna do the Lost Soul Wave coming up. These thankfully come in the same order every time, so I know exactly where they're gonna come. And this is a really funny encounter the first time, because people tend to get overwhelmed by the Lost Souls. Like I said earlier, Lost Souls are incredibly aggressive, but if you can lock them down with a chain gun or something, they're pretty easy to handle. So after the last wave comes up right here, a whole bunch of Lost Souls appear on this side, so we'll want to book it over there before they start floating over the walls and being a pain in the butt. Alright, so hidden switch right here. We get into this secret. We don't need to grab the map, we just need to get inside the room. Rude door. Moving in this game is a little tricky because you tend to get stuck on things. So I got stuck on the wall for a bit. Alright, so blue key opens this hidden area, and we're actually going to save right here because, unfortunately, this elevator sometimes soft locks for some reason. If the elevator keeps going up, then the doors will never open at the bottom when we leave this area, so I saved just beforehand just to make sure that doesn't happen. But we just clear out a wave of enemies every time we go up. There's going to be 2 Hell Knights coming up, so we're just going to hopefully get them with the rockets here. That was so perfectly timed, and that was a really good spawn. Sometimes that first Hell Knight blocks the second one from coming in, so that was a really, really good second spawn there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that pre-fire was nasty.
It was really close. So I actually just blocked a Cacodemon behind me and like 20 feet up with my body. So we talked a little bit about enemies not spawning. So if an enemy gets blocked, like if they try and spawn in and you or another enemy is blocking that position, then you actually stop it from showing up, and that means you don't have to kill it. I kind of briefly touched that in Ghost Stories, but that's relevant for killing in this category because if you don't have to kill it because it doesn't count towards the max, hey, that saves on ammo and time, which is really nice. So you block enemies where you can, and sometimes you get enemies to do that too. So this is the last area, just this tower right here. I save a little bit of Unmaker ammo because enemies tend to get pushed back, especially flying enemies, and you kind of want something to be able to deal with them quickly. So a couple rockets here. Hopefully things aren't going to wander off. There is a lost soul that is wandered off. There he is.
Lost souls
he's
are
trying to
always
get
the
up there.
problem.
Please get up. Oh my goodness, get up there. He's not coming up. Hold on. Okay, I accidentally shot it with a super shotgun and it flew way off there, so now I gotta wait for it. See, this is why I said a very
It's
generous
not a max
estimate.
run without a little bit of
Hey,
lost soul trolling. It's traditional.
It's really,
Yeah,
really
it's
not.
called a lost soul, right? Like it can't go where you want it to be. Like
Look, I wish it would get lost like it can in Doom 2. In PC Doom, you actually don't need to kill Lost Souls starting with version 1.666. But Doom 64 coding is based on PlayStation Doom, which is based on Jaguar Doom, which is based on Doom version 1.2. So you have to kill Lost Souls.
It's amazing you know that chain.
I just
Anyways.
like knowing there's a version 1.666.
Yep. So this is the unapp solution. This is the end of our first quote-unquote episode. So we need to slug it out with this mother demon right here. So I'm standing in a very specific spot. This is something I found out when I was doing speed attempts. If I stand in very specific ways, the missiles just kind of hit the walls that usually don't hit me, which is really nice. We do need to get these mega spheres right here, but after we kill the mother demon, these teleporters open up and we can just get it that way. So that's a very, very convenient and easy way to get the secret. So at the end of each episode, you're supposed to death exit. So we take a death exit, the level ends. And what that happens is that because I took a death exit, I still complete the level, but I no longer have any of my equipment going into the next level. So we're just starting with 100 health and 50 bullets with a pistol again. So that's a problem with dig your own grave, because I kind of feel like I do that on a daily basis with this game. But this is a really cool gimmick. We're going to have a lot of really cool fighting coming up. This graveyard scene is really dark and difficult to see. So this is tricky with dealing with enemies here. Now, I do need to conserve ammo for the next level, so I'm going to be using a lot of pistol for now, where I can. Like, I can use some shots here and there, because they can usually kill imps in one hit. But I do want to use pistol for some of the weaker stuff, like the zombie men. The zombie men are pretty weak and easy to take care of, so... That was a very loud shot as I got close. Sound propagation in this engine certainly is a thing, and an amazing thing, but it can get very loud at times. So as we clear each wave, the floor lowers and we go to the next area. But any items that are left behind, we're not going to be able to reach because the floor is lowered. And that is a problem, so I'm taking a very specific route to make sure I get all of the shells and bullets that are on the sides of these walls here, because they are very critical for my ammo routing to work. So I just try to get everything here. So I want to stand by this invisibility sphere, not because I actually need it, but because it's a good landmarker for this next area. And I'm going to save as I go down, so...
It's interesting they force the death exits on each episode, because then, you know, it kind of forces you to do the pistol starts, which is always a classic thing in Doom.
Yeah, it's a fresh way to make sure you have to really try. Here's one of the secrets, by the way. We get some nice light application goggles. Makes things a lot easier to see around here, because this is a very dark level. Like, Doom 64 is already a very dark game, and thankfully in the remaster, it's a lot easier to see things. But in this level in particular, it's very dark by default, so it's really nice to have these goggles, to the point where even in the speed category, I picked those up. To get to the next secret, we're normally supposed to hit a button that's really obscure and difficult to get to, but I'm actually going to do it in a different way. We're actually going to kill all the enemies, and as everything's lowering, well, there's something missing. Where's the last enemy? There's a zombie man all the way over there. So, anyways, as this is lowering, I'm going to just run right onto the platform from there. So that saves me a lot of trouble, because getting to that secret normally is a pain in the butt, especially with a whole bunch of enemies following me. I also fired my chain gun once I had gotten in, because I want to wake the Lost Souls up and get them moving into a good spot. So there should be one more Lost Soul right here. So we're going to deal with all of the Lost Souls first, because they are a pain in the butt and they like to get in the way. There should be 2 on this side over here. And then what I'm going to do, hopefully, is get these cacodemons and specters to all infight together. So I want to use the berserk on cacodemons that are close enough to the ground to be able to hit them. But they don't like to do that a lot of the time. But thankfully, if they infight with the specters here, then they can actually... The bite attack from the specters somehow manages to actually hit them from like 10 feet down, which is really handy for saving ammo and just doing extra damage to everything. It looks like the cacodemons are kind of getting free, so we're just going to clear up what we can with the shotgun. It looks like it'll be okay. I should have enough shells to get through the rest of this. So we'll just clear out this last caco and then punch the specters out. This is actually less shells than I'd like. We'll figure it out, don't worry. But that was still actually really fast, so I'm okay with that. And there was a shotgun right in front of me as I was exiting. I didn't pick it up. That's okay. All right, going into blast processing here. Get your Mega Drives or Genesises, however you want to say. This one focuses on explosives here. So we're going to use a whole bunch of explosives to solve puzzles. So hitting this switch makes a whole bunch of Revenant missiles show up. Revenants are unfortunately not in this game. They're a cut enemy from Doom. 64. Several enemies did not make it into base game Doom 64 due to cartridge constraints, but their missiles still are here, and they're used as a gimmick in several levels in the base game, and especially here. So the missiles like to track you, so we're going to just kind of loop them around and hit these frozen cacodemon. So we'll do those 3 normally, and then this one right here, we're just going to snipe out with the chain gun, because it's really, really time... It's a big time sink to go bring missiles to that cacodemon, so we'll just shoot them out from there. So we'll grab this yellow key. We need to get all 3 keys in order to get to the final area. We'll pick up this hidden Mega Soul Sphere for a secret. There's another blue armor secret down here. It's just a very specific route to be able to get everything and have the equipment that I need, because I do want the Berserk before I do one part. So we're going to drop off here. We're going to get the invulnerability. And then we're going to do the obstacle course. So the obstacle course here, we want to be sure we're not blown off by these barrels. So I'm going to just very carefully stand away, getting that one secret right there, which very cleverly hidden between the 3rd and 4th rows of barrels there. And then we're just going to make our way through the rest of the obstacle course before our invulnerability runs out. Okay, good. I was able to tank the dart right there. I had the dart hit me instead of the barrel, so I wouldn't get flown off the edge, because the barrel explosions, even though I'm invulnerable, they can still throw you off. So I'm going to be very careful not to accidentally skip this key, because it's possible. Go. So we're going to jump here. We're going to get a Berserk. I don't need the health refill, but the punching power is really nice for the next up. Also going to be very careful to not accidentally skip this trigger. So line defs in this game, those are like passable triggers that you can walk over. Due to the way Doom speed works, you don't really like move in a smooth motion. It's more like teleporting from frame to frame really fast. So I can be on one side of a line def on one frame, and then on the next frame, I can be on the other side of the line def if my speed was fast enough, my position was good. So skipping line defs can be very useful, but not in that case, because if I skipped the line def coming into this room, the script would never start and I would be stuck in here forever. And I already get stuck in here forever, hell-wise, in base game Doom 64, so we don't need to have that happen.
So is strafe running a thing in this game, like, to go faster, or...?
Yes, you still get a 28% speed boost when strafe running. There is SR40 in this game, which is normal strafe running, but there's no SR50 specifically in this remaster version. SR50 requires a few more inputs, but it would get you, I think, 41% extra speed. So we got our last secret, which was jumping over to the shotgun bonuses over there. So we're going to go to this last part. Normally this is really difficult because you would have to drag a bunch of rockets to kill enemies and use barrels. We're not going to do that at all. I'm just going to very, very carefully deal with all this stuff. Block one Pinky from showing up right there. And then we thankfully have enough ammo to be able to deal with all the enemies using our guns, which is much, much faster than using the explosive barrels or the rockets, which are very, very difficult to control. So thankfully, that is the last part of the level right here, and I should have all the secrets. I didn't forget the hidden obstacle course one like I did in a practice run. Alright, cool. Alright, Crosswind Crossfire. This is one of the coolest levels and one of my favorites. So you can see we're surrounded on both ends, and you need to deal with enemies while you're getting crossfire. That's what makes this a really, really cool level, because you have to know how to control the space, understand how enemies move and when they attack. I'm gonna grab a rocket secret. Where'd the Hell Knight go? I was wondering where he went for a second. I don't know where he went. I've never seen him go to that space early. So there's gonna be several waves of dealing with enemies. We're gonna try and leave some Hell Knights in the middle behind, and hopefully the cacodemons that spawn behind me will get either attack Hell Knights and aggro on them, or get attacked by Hell Knights and aggro on them. So that saves me some health and ammo, and also lets me group them up so that I can use my rockets and get some really good splash damage on them. Rockets are in short supply, so I have a very specific ammo route, especially since I need a bunch of rockets for later to avoid getting in a really, really bad position.
It's amazing watching how many more enemies you can kill at the same time with a super shotgun in this game, just because that many pellets, that much damage.
Yeah, just like I said, being able to like do triple damage compared to a normal shotgun is really useful. Like on average, this is about as strong as a rocket. That's how good the super shotgun is. Alright, 2 waves of Mancubi, and this is really dangerous because Mancubi kind of shoot their shots at angles, so it's possible to run into them. So I strafe in a very specific pattern to make sure I don't hit the angled shot, which that went really well. So I'm going to zip past these Hell Knights here. I didn't get blocked by the Cacodemon, thankfully. He can do that sometimes. He loves doing that. There's a couple secrets coming up, so this one, once I kill this Arachnotron, we're going to light the torch by shooting it, and that actually makes the Soul Sphere come down. So that's one of our secrets. There's one more secret left to get in this. Another wave right here, so we're going to use 7 rockets on Hell Knights. We'll use 6 for now. 6 should be fine. The 2 Hell Knights that I left behind should be in the middle and should be soaking up some of those Cacodemon fireballs. Yeah, they're definitely doing their job, so perfect. Oh, they're all ganging up. I think he has like 4 enemies on top of him. I don't think I've seen like 4 Cacodemons attack a single enemy at the same time. They are
Is it
mad.
the same type of thing where if, a Hell Knight attacks a Cacodemon, all of the ones in the area are going to turn and start fighting him?
Not all of them.
Okay.
Only the ones that attacked it. Or got attacked by it. I think it was just really, really good lucky infighting. And like I said, this game has extreme amounts of luck to where I definitely say luck is a skill. Look, if Fire Emblem games can have luck as a skill point, luck is a skill.
It makes sense. You can set yourself up in a situation where you have the opportunity to get lucky,
Yep. Alright, hidden secret. This opens up at some point, so we come back for this radiation shield. Now we're coming up to the final crosswind wave. This is the most difficult. So one property of the super shotgun and rocket launcher specific to Doom 64 is that when you fire them, you actually get pushed back a little bit. This is good for some tricks in the base game, but it's really bad for this because I can launch myself off the edge into the pit that I cannot get out of. So I'm very, very carefully readjusting myself as I go.
Is there no exit down there? Is that just like a reset
so
if you fall in there?
There's no exit. You are... Yeah, if I fall down, that's
mean.
it. So, that's why I'm... So, after I deal with these imps, we have 2 Arachnotrons on one side and 1 on the other. So, we're just going to very, very carefully do this. I can tank some damage immediately. I can jump in now. Now that I know that the enemies will die, I can jump in. And once that's done, I get teleported to the backside here. There are many, many Barons of Hell. There are 6 on each side. So we're just going to very, very, very slowly move from side to side to make sure I don't get bodied by a whole bunch of undodgeable fireballs because I went too fast. So now we got to deal with the ones that are on the other side. They're thankfully grouping up pretty well right here. So this is what I wanted a lot of rockets for. And thankfully there's several rocket packs scattered around. But any extra rockets that I can take into the next level are very appreciated. So I'm just going to just SG from here on out. Might not have enough shells. I'm gonna need to pick up some extra shells. Let's pick up some extra shells here for the next level. So that's Crosswind Crossfire, and it's just such a fun level. Alright, so Walled Garden right here. So in the Watch Me Die Speed category, there are actually 3 normal exits, and you can take any of them, and you would just bolt to the nearest one. But in this category, we're actually going to be solving this. This is kind of a puzzle box level. There's these doors and switches. There's this little tiling right here. These doors are all controlled by the switches that are around. So they open and close specific doors. And we need to get everything that's in this level to get full 100% credit. So there's going to be a lot of switch flipping and very specific routing. So I need to keep very close track of everything that I'm hitting. So we're going to jump to this hidden secret right here with the shell box. Shells are also in very short supply in this level, so I'm picking up as many as I can here. And bullets as well. So there's also very specific paths I take to make sure the Lost Souls don't get lost, very ironically. Because, like I said earlier, they do count towards 100% kills in this version, so we need to make sure we kill them, make sure they don't wander off. Alright, so we're going to flip these 2 switches. We're going to go this way. So this gets us to an Unmaker key, a demon key. Since we did the death exit earlier on in the episode, we didn't have any demon keys, but now we have one again, so our Unmaker's pretty useful. Now we're going to go this way, grab these shells. I would like to line def skip the enemies in this room. It is possible, but I've only done it once or twice, and you would have to skip it twice since you do come back to this room, so it's something that I would like, but not feasible so far. So once we deal with them, we're going to grab the plasma gun. We're going to jump in this canal. So there's a secret back here next to this chainsaw. And then we can teleport back to where we were and continue on. Like, this puzzle box has... There's just so many secrets on this level. I think it's like 13 or 14 secrets. Nice shot.
How long did it take you to route a level
What
like
a jerk.
this?
So thankfully, Doom Wiki is a really great source for this level. We have a really good community wiki that has a lot of good, useful resources. And thankfully, the secret order that's in that wiki is pretty close to optimal. So I didn't have to do too much rerouting. But I did change up some things to make things a little bit better. Like doing this before doing the section beforehand that would be in the secrets. It was a lot of work. This is a level that would take a long time to figure out. And I think Squibba mentioned this when they were on, when I did UnMaking last time. People like spend literally hours trying to get to the secret exit in this level. And optimally, you can do this in like 3.5 to 4 minutes. If you know where to go, things are very, very short. But it's very tricky. It took a lot of time to be able to bring the routing down as well as the execution. So we're going to do this. So that's the last set of switches. I did not make my jump over there. I'm not sure I can make it back from here. Might be able to. I have to see. I'm blocked off. I need to actually reset. Where am I at? Okay, that's actually not that bad. Okay, I'm actually right where I want to be. So we're just going to jump over here. So this gets us into this area. This is the last area to go to. I have some extra rockets. We'll burn them right here. And I will go ahead and do the very, very unsafe strat coming up. There's a very unsafe strat because once I grab this blue key, a whole bunch of enemies spawn, which includes a pain elemental. Pain elementals are extremely dangerous because that can happen.
Yes, Max is happy. Max got to watch you die.
So pain elementals, they spawn lost souls in, just like they would in Doom 2. But specifically in Doom 64, they have a couple of changes. They spawn 2 lost souls instead of 1 at the same time. And if you are close enough to them when they try and spawn lost souls, the lost souls explode in your face for rocket damage and usually just kill you. So anyways, with the blue key, we can get to the secret area. This is the end of the puzzle box, so hopefully we got everything and not need to come back, because otherwise it would be bad. Thank goodness that is 100% right there.
God.
So that gets us
that
into
does
the next secret
rocket
level.
damage? That's so mean.
Yeah, and it would be 2 of them because both of them
my
explode
God.
at the same time. So this is no going back, as the level name implies. We cannot go back because these platforms raise, and these are really good at crushing things. So that's useful for just skipping a whole bunch of stuff. That being said, this is now the only level in the WAD where you cannot get the 2 secrets if you miss them. So we're going to be very careful to make sure that doesn't happen. I also have to be careful not to backtrack too fast, because if I backtrack onto a platform that's rising, I can get crushed to death, and that's no bueno. So we're going to trigger a whole bunch of enemies coming up right here. We're going to deal with all these cacodemons and arachnotrons. They're thankfully not targeting me yet, so that's good. That rocket went right past his sprite. Good job. Arachnotron hitboxes are really weird. They are rectangles. So we need to get off this platform and onto it really quickly. There we go. So that gets us into the first secret. This gets us another demon artifact. So that's our second one for the episode. And then behind us, there's also an Unmaker that shows up. So
What does the
that's our
second
2
key
secrets
do
for
for
the
your
level.
Unmaker?
So that now powers up the Unmaker firing rate even more. So now it's 1 shot per 4 ticks instead of 5. And now it fires 2 lasers at a time, which is extremely good. So the plasma gun I picked up earlier, you really, really don't want to see me using it. Unfortunately, plasma is very bad in Doom 64 compared to how it is in PC Doom. The 2-key Unmaker is extremely good, and we want to be using that for a couple levels here. We're going to be picking up all these rockets. When we get close enough, well, here, have a Mother Demon. Have a Mother Demon. So you would normally use all these rockets to deal with them. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna run right past it and just let the floor crush itself. That was a huge launch, by the way. So we just crush the Mother Demon to death. That's good enough, and then we just slug it out with these Hell Knights and Barons. So I don't know why I'm saving, because I can't go back. So if I somehow missed 100%, we're in trouble. All right, we're good right there. So this is actually a good time to take a break right here. This is a good spot since this is a long run.
Yeah, so here at GDQ, we try to take a break every time about over an hour or so to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to take a minute, stand up, walk around, grab some water, grab some food, pet your pets, whatever pets they may be. I always like to give my dog a little pat during the breaks. But if you need something else to do during a break while we're getting set up, if you're watching GDQ, we want to learn more from you and hear from you. So we are currently conducting a survey to learn how you watch speedruns the most, where you watch them, what types of runs you want to watch, those different things. So while we're on break, if you have a few minutes, try visiting gdq.gg/survey and let us know what you want to see and a little bit more about your watching habits for speedruns. That way we can make content that is more tailored directly to you and the audience. But we'll be back in just a few minutes with the continuation of this run, so don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Perilous Paths here on GDQ Hotfix. We are in the middle of an incredible run with a category called Watch Me Die Max. I'm going to keep saying that because it's maybe my favorite category name ever. But before we get back into the run, a lot of people have been asking about SGDQ, when our next event is. And that next event, SGDQ 2026, will be live in Minneapolis, Minnesota from July 5th to the 11th. So if you're looking at the calendar, that is next week. So make sure you visit gdq.gg to learn more, or even still register for the event. That's still up. So you can check out the schedule at gdq.gg/schedule. There are some absolutely incredible runs there. And make sure you check out the merch and other things from the Eddy while you're there. I'm wearing an AGDQ shirt right now. It is top quality. But that's enough shilling from my side, so we can go ahead and get back into the run for Doom 64, the UnMaking with Zello. Whenever you're ready, just give us a count.
Thank you, Kitty. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So we left off on when hell freezes over. So this is a really cool gimmick level. So you have all these torches that are lighting up, and you'll see I'm taking damage. So the gimmick is that all of the cold sectors that are not around torches, they basically count as damaging sectors. So you want to stay in the light and not get damaged. And we're going to have a bunch of fighting. This is one of the longer levels in the run, and we're going to have just so much happening in bit. So I want to trigger these scripts as soon as possible. That will cause the fights to get started. But otherwise, it's not going to be a whole lot of talking in this level from me. It's going to be pretty self-explanatory, just surviving, especially once we get into the main room coming up. I do want to make sure I don't leave enemies behind, because otherwise I won't be able to get my 100%, so I need to make sure that imp back there dies good.
It's such a cool gimmick.
Yeah, and the presentation's really good. So we mentioned a little bit earlier that I'm playing on version 2.10 of the UnMaking. So earlier versions before 2.8, there was a little bit less detail. But when Squibbo worked on this WAD again and re-released it from 2.8 onwards, they added a lot of really cool details that you'll kind of see, especially in the main room. Like icicles hanging from the ceiling and just like geometry and texture touch-ups, which I think is really great that they really continue to support not just the speedrun of this WAD, but just like the general polish and feel of it.
Yeah, for people who are unfamiliar,
And
there's
if you're
like
going through
a long tradition of adding gimmicky mechanics to Doom WADs, and some of them hit a lot better than others, but this is really cool with the way it's designed.
And if you were going through this casually, how would you go about figuring out the gimmicks? Would it just be, hey, when I'm not in the yellow, it hurts? Or is there something more?
That's exactly how it works, yeah. So you figured it out pretty quick. Anyway, all 3 secrets are in this main area right here. That was an interesting bounce, but I got to where I wanted to go, so that works. So we're going to pick up all the secrets as necessary. We already got a hidden BFG by hitting a switch. We hit another switch that opens a Megasphere, and we're going to drop down onto this Berserk pack right here. So that takes care of all the secrets. So now, I'm in the main room, and we have to slug it out for basically like another 6 minutes or so, because the exit is surrounded on all sides by a very, very tall wall, as you can see right there. That thing extends like into the freaking heavens, so the opposite of hell, I guess. But we have to fight through all of these waves to make that thing just lower. It's on time-based script, so it'll eventually appear over time. But this level's particularly notorious for getting 100% kills in, because the final waves of enemies do involve more pain elementals, which, as you saw, I kind of got bodied by at the end of Walled Garden earlier. So hopefully that won't happen again. But otherwise, this is actually a great time to just kind of chill for a bit. I will be picking up ammo every once in a while. just to make sure I don't run out. Thankfully, I am carrying a backpack that I picked up at the end of Walled Garden, so I can carry double normal capacity. So that means taking less trips to get ammo and supplies, which makes this level a little bit easier than its speed category equivalent. But otherwise, I'm just going to be chilling and fighting for a bit. So chat, y'all should ask some questions. We can see if we can answer them as we're going by. Kitty and Ray, what are y'all's thoughts on the WAD?
This is really cool. Yes, I like that it's like a more combat-intensive WAD without being a full Slayer WAD, because those can be really daunting at times.
Yeah, on my side, I've played through some mostly newer games on like vanilla nightmare level difficulty, and the difficulty on those is kind of quite spectacular, I guess is a way to say. So how would you kind of consider this in the pantheon of like Doom difficult runs? Like is the difficulty like really unmanageable or high for a casual player, or how would you go about approaching this?
So I would definitely say that the difficulty of this is higher than the base game, but as somebody who has actually never taken the time to beat any of the modern games on Nightmare, I think this is a little bit easier than those. So that's just my take. I just don't play New Doom very often these days. I do want to at least go back and do 2016. So
Yeah, the modern games on Nightmare are very unforgiving. It is.
They're very punishing. Like an Imp Fireball doing like up to 90 is just like, ow.
The epitome of Nightmare is meant to be unfair. It is a challenge. Do not expect it to be reasonably balanced, you know?
No.
And,
so this WAD in particular is really more about learning the individual gimmicks, and once you understand them and know how to deal with them, the difficulty drops quite a bit. But it's still pretty execution heavy in ways. I need to get some shells.
Yeah, and I realize I should probably clarify, because I've mentioned it a few times, but not everybody here is a Doom head. So Slayer maps or Slayer WADs they're maps that just have absurd amounts of enemies all over the place. We're talking hundreds of monsters, tons of BFGs, and just like, you just have to really grind your way through them, and the difficulty just lies in just huge enemy spawns coming in on top of you constantly, and those can be really daunting if you're not super experienced, just because you're just dealing with so many high-tier difficult enemies at once. But they give you really powerful weapons to deal with it. So this is like, I like this as a combat WAD that hasn't gone to that extreme, but it's still like difficult combat and more approachable.
If you do want really, really intense PC Doom arena mods like that, then you should play something like Sunlust or Sunder, where there's literally 10,000 plus enemies in a single map. Like, you will get your time's worth, whether you like it or not.
I do really like kind of the gimmick, the puzzle, the other elements to it here, because obviously Perilous Paths is more than just having 10,000 enemies on screen. Like, we can do that too, but like I like that it has a lot more, let's say, intellectual capacity to
Slayer
it
maps
than
is
that.
really cool, and we've had it on GDQ a few times because you have to figure out how to grind through that many enemies really quickly, and there's a lot of trying to start really giant infights, which are chaotic and really dangerous, because you've got a ton of these really high-tier enemies all shooting at each other, and you're having to dodge and weave your way through. It's really hard, but really cool to watch.
I always get scared when your health goes down to like 15.
Yeah, I was a little concerned myself. I didn't realize how low I was, so we grabbed the hidden Megasphere. I have to grab the Megasphere at some point anyways, because it does count as a secret, so that's fine. So now we're back at 200 with Mega Armor, thankfully. When you get a Megasphere, you do get the blue armor refill, so you get the 200 armor with the half damage protection. But yeah, I remember Hotfix years back, we actually did have Fractured Worlds, one of the many excellent custom PC Doom WADs on Hotfix, and that's like one of the really cool ones that really combines the style of something you see here in terms of like textures and graphics with the hardcore arena mentality.
So someone in chat says that they have not actually found the upper enemy limit for Doom 64 on PC, and that someone made a map with over 200 megabytes worth of enemies.
Yeah, like if you want enemies in a very condensed way, you can always play Nuts.wad.
How big is the original Doom 64 file size? If we have 200 megabytes of energy or of enemies, that's like triple the size of the actual base game or something, right?
Yeah, somebody like a Morpher could definitely weigh in on that better in chat. I actually don't know that off the top of my head.
That's who brought it up in chat.
Oh, well, then I don't think we know then. Anyways, the pain elementals just showed up here, so we're gonna go deal with them. I want to deal with them ASAP, so before they start blowing up a whole bunch of lost souls into the arena. There's gonna be one more on that side. Oh, he is spitting out like he's spitting out a bunch. All right, let's deal with you now. Okay, so I want to get rid of all of these enemies. I want to get rid of all of those lost souls, make sure they're all dead. We're going to use up all our rockets here. I'm actually lower on rockets than I'd like. I burned through quite a few. We'll get a whole bunch in a bit, but I want to make sure everything's dead.
The original Doom 64 was 8 megabytes. So that'd be
Yeah, 8
two and a
megabytes.
half, or no, not two
Yeah,
and a half.
zero,
That'd
yeah.
be 25 times.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. All right, so everything should be dead. The exit's open. We're just going to pick up all these rockets that we left for here because I want to keep them for later. Like, we're leaving this level with 83 rockets, which is still not really enough for the next level. Next couple levels, I should say. Hopefully, we got everything here. I want to see that 100% kill. There, that's good. All right, so this is going to go by really intense with sickly symmetry, so I'm looking for a very specific pattern. So we need to find the enemy that is different from each of the other ones in these like little tombs. The enemy that is different is the one that we want to kill. And there now in later versions of this WAD, you can actually get one of two patterns. And thankfully, I got the one that I wanted, so I know exactly where to go because the other one's not so favorable.
So it's like a spot the difference map.
So we're going to deal with this. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So we kill this Baron, that crushes all the Hell Knights there. So now that I've dealt with 3 waves of that, everything's going to come down and try and kill me. So I'm going to grab this invulnerability and just smash my face in with rockets. And also, when I hit these switches on the side, pain elementals also show up. So I want to get rid of them ASAP as well. And make sure they're not wasting more rockets or any of my time.
I'm quickly learning why you said that 80
There you are.
rockets was not enough for this level.
Yes, I need a whole bunch for the next level too. That's why I'm worried. I'm actually going to save a few more. We're just going to SSG out the rest. The Mancubi have such satisfying death sound
Yeah.
effects in this game. I love that. All right, good. Nobody wandered away. That's like one of the shortest levels in the game. Now we go to the. I think this is one of the biggest levels, if not the biggest. Astral Flotsam and Astral Sea might be bigger. So this is Mercurial Minions. We're going to see a lot of Marines again. But before we get to them, I'm going to use the Unmaker. You can see the Unmaker fires really, really fast now with 2 Demon Keys. And I kind of need that because these Mancubi are a pain to get to. There's not really a good way to deal with them outside of the Unmaker because rockets can easily miss, and my other weapons aren't really strong enough. They take ages. I want to make sure everything's dead here because I don't want to have to walk back. This is a huge, huge hole. So we're going to have the Unmaker again. I'm going to deal with the Mancubi that are right here. So there's 3 in every little spot. Oh, he didn't die. Hopefully he'll walk a little bit forward and I can deal with him with the SSG. Nice. A little bit of good luck right there.
You don't often see the shotgun being used as a sniper rifle.
The normal shotgun's actually pretty good for that
Yeah.
in base
The
game.
usual trade-off is that the normal shotgun is more accurate over distances. Like, very, very accurate, just does less damage.
So we're going to wait for this time-based script to end. So a whole bunch of imps show up. We're going to hopefully get some help from the Marines to clean up some of the enemies because there's a bunch of pinkies on the other side here. They're shooting each other, so the Marines can shoot each other too, which doesn't help my case. Like, I do have to kill the Marines, unfortunately, because they do count as towards the enemy total. But unfortunately, like, them shooting each other immediately doesn't help because I wanted to deal with other enemies.
That's not the kind of infighting I wanted.
Alright, so I definitely need to get this hidden Soul Sphere. We can trigger the secret without getting the Soul Sphere, but I definitely want the Sphere. So there we go. So just the extra 100 health is really nice. So I'm actually going to go on the way to a secret using this elevator. Unfortunately, we need the blue key in order to access this secret, but I can still trigger the next part early by jumping on top of the wall from there. So that makes the walls all drop. Everybody starts starts infighting with each other and just makes things a lot more pleasant for later because it's less downtime, less waiting. So the Marines usually kill each other with the Arachnotrons, so be a bunch of Arachnotrons right here. Get out of my way. I almost blew myself up with a rocket there, and that Marine was shredding me. Please do not hit me. Okay. But you can really see, like, the contrast between this level and base game Doom 64. So because of cartridge constraints, like size constraints and everything, Doom 64 levels, like in the base game, are very compact. That is not the case in UnMaking. These are very, very big levels, just depending on what Scobo was feeling like that day, which makes for some really, really cool things. But it also makes for some challenges because there's a lot of levels where the draw distance is actually bigger than the full length that you can see.
The base game had
Or the draw
a lot
distance
of narrow
smaller.
hallways and tricky triggers to reuse sections, right?
Yes, exactly. So you'd often revisit earlier areas and just kind of crisscross over, which is kind of an id Software staple. They do that not only in their Doom games, but also Quake 1 was a lot like that. Quake 2 as well, to an extent. There is some crisscrossing here and there, but it differs from map to map in this WAD. So I am picking up every single rocket that I can because I desperately need them for the next fight coming up, as well as dealing with a few enemies here. Why did you dodge that?
That's neat because these maps feel a lot more like PC Doom maps, just in their size and the way they're laid out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's just a really nice variety. Alright, so we've got a really nasty fight coming up, so I need to grab this key. I need to deal with these last set of Mancubi that are right here. And then there are a ton of Hell Knights that come out. I need to get these rockets, and no, I'm not going that way, that's for sure. I'm not going that way. So we're going to bunker ourselves in here in a second. So there's also going to be a whole bunch of Cacodemons, but we're going to grab the backpack. I need to hit a secret switch in this room. That lowers the Mega Armor platform for later. And then we're just going to let all of the Hell Knights come to me. And I'm fighting on these very, very narrow stairs, which is very difficult to move on because of the enclosed space. It's easy to just kind of block yourself if you're next to a stair that's too high. And if I were to move off a stair, it's also easy to just... your momentum is preserved when you leave any kind of upper space. So I could just kind of careen into a fireball, and I have no control because control's already taken away from me the moment I leave the ground. Alright, my rocket count is actually good right now. Like, this is actually looking pretty good. I am so glad that Arachnotron died, because if it needed another rocket, I think I would have face rocketed myself. Okay, so now that we have the blue key, we're going to detour back to the other elevator. There's just no getting around this, unfortunately. We just have to come back with the blue key. But this does have a BFG, which we won't be using here. We mostly want it for the cells, but we'll talk about it a little bit later.
I need to be ready to explain the tracers on the BFG.
I do appreciate
the same way in this game.
Yeah, the tracers we'll talk about when we actually need to do some BFG fighting. I also want to make sure that we don't have... Yep, there we go. Marine wandering off. He would have ruined my 100%. And like I said, this is a really big level, so coming back here is extremely costly. And that's like one of my biggest fears with doing stuff in this WAD. Rocket. Alright, so we have another big fight coming up right here. I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of rockets first, just while it's safe to do so. Because there's a huge wave that comes with I want to get past the Marines and Arachtrons ASAP. So I don't really have time to collect rockets while I'm doing that. So we need to get all over here, let them infight for a bit. We're going to go over to here where the Nightmare Imps are. The moment I hit the switch up here, a whole bunch of Lost Souls show up. So I'm going to switch to the chain gun and kind of just bunker myself for a bit. This also drags a whole bunch of the enemies on the other side of the map towards me, so it's going to be easier to get rocket kills with these grouped up. So it's just really nice that way. Yeah, because these are really clustered up over here, and they're actually doing some really good infighting. So I'm going to leave the rest of them behind, and hopefully they'll take care of each other. Okay, good. It's always risky to use the rocket launcher on the pain elementals, but hey, risk reward right there. So they're clustered up in the corner again. Really good rocket count, actually. I'm like actually way ahead on rockets now. So we're just gonna deal with a couple more enemies here. Let's see, a couple more cacodemons. Come on. The rockets also hit them so hard sometimes that they tend to fly away. They kind of float, so you have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Also, I can open this door
You
all
also
the way from down
mentioned, you
there.
know, you were ahead on rockets, and then the cacodemons showed what you were talking about earlier about how shooting airborne enemies is risky because they can just float out of the way.
Yep. Alright, so this is the last area of the level. So there's several more waves here. Interestingly, there's a spawner. If you hit the switch in the middle of the room, it actually spawns more marines that would target the enemy first, which is a neat little property, but we don't need that. We're just going to deal with these arachnotrons first. When I clear this wave, both a mother demon and a pan elemental spawn on opposite ends of the room. Well, I don't want to deal with either of them, so I'm going to deal with the bigger threat by killing this arachnotron, and then I'm just going to stand here and block a mother demon from showing up. Also, nice time face rocket. Nice time face rocket. So it's fine, we don't need any more rockets. So hopefully we have 100%. I really do not want to have to leave this area because it takes forever to get back anywhere. Ah, very nice. So that brings us to the last level of this episode, the Infinity Gauntlet. So we have this nice little figure 8 right here. We have to deal with the 2 cyber demons, and this is a really dangerous level in the speed category because I don't have a powered up Unmaker. But since I do, we're just gonna kind of snipe them away. Now there are pan elementals that show up when enough time passes, but if I can get to a line def in time, well, I wasn't able to, but once you cross a certain line def, no more of those pan elementals actually spawn, so only having one is fine. So we're gonna jump down here, all the way down here after killing all the enemies and getting all the secrets, and we have another death exit. So that ends the second episode, basically. I also should mention you should not mash spacebar after you do the death exit, because pressing like use is also the way to restart a level, and you can restart a level before you actually get
And then
credit
you'd
for
be
finishing
pistol starting it, right? Oh.
Yes, so gladly that didn't happen. So welcome to episode 3. This is the longest episode, but this is like actually the half point for the run. So Do Not Wake Mother is the first of 2 puzzle levels we'll do. And as the title implies, there are a whole bunch of mother demons, as you can see right there. We don't want to wake them up, and this takes advantage of Doom's sound propagation. So by closing off the walls using switches, the mother demons won't be able to hear when I fire my pistol. So we need to make sure they stay deaf, and we activate these switches without them hearing us, because if any of them aggro, they show up in the final fight and they beat us to death, and there's no way to deal with them because we don't have the kind of supplies for
You
that.
just did a pistol start.
Yeah, so there's really no way unless you can somehow beat one to death with your fist. Props off. You really are a Doom guy if you can do that. I am not good enough to do that.
A mother demon to death sounds very hard.
Yes. Alright, so we got a green armor that was secret. We're going to get this very hidden energy cell that's green because it's tagged as a nightmare property. And that's something we can talk about when we get to the last fight here. But we're going to hit this switch, close the other wall off. So these switches are timed, and if you don't get to the switches in time, they start raising back up and you have to do them again. But with all the walls closed, it's not a problem. Now, we don't have any demon keys again, but we'll get our first one coming up. This one actually used to be a required secret to get, but this one you can actually get an alternate way. So this is the intended way, opening the secret passage, and it spawns right here. If you miss this, you can actually get it in later versions of UnMaking, starting from I think 2.8 onwards. The demon key shows up after you finish the final fight if you do go to a specific spot, which is a nice way to do
just
it.
as a reminder, since we have somebody
but
joining
we
chat
want
and missed the early explanation, those demon keys are what power up your Unmaker.
Yes, so we have one right now, so we have a faster Unmaker for now. When we get the second key, it makes it a little bit faster and fires 2 lasers, and then when we get the third key, we'll be able to fire 3 lasers. So we got through all the puzzle stuff just fine. So now we have this last fight coming up right here. So we have several waves of Just a whole bunch of zombie men. I was unable to block that one, but that's okay. We're just going to use the pistol here. Now, starting with the next wave, we're going to start seeing nightmare zombie men and start seeing nightmare enemies in general. So nightmare enemies have twice as much HP as their normal variants, and also they have this really, really cool green shimmer. That won't be so cool when I have to deal with some more tougher enemies that are tagged as nightmares. So we're going to block a Marine from showing up right here. I'm going to get rid of the Marines ASAP because the Marines are extremely dangerous. They can rapid fire you to death. And I also want to conserve cells because I need them for the next level, actually. So we're just going to pistol out the rest of these guys. So that should be good. We're going to save right here, make sure we got everything.
Since we are doing these pistol starts at the start of every episode, it makes me curious. Some WADs are designed to be able to pistol start every level. Is that the case in this one, or are you expected to have to carry over weapons?
No, you can definitely do everything as an IL. It's just going to be very challenging if you go for 100%. Sorry, I got to do a really quick explanation here. So this is going nowhere fast. So we went through a maze. When you enter the maze, you have a certain amount of time before you're teleported back to the start. So I took a very direct route to get a whole bunch of secrets and also be able to get to this hidden key and unmaker before time runs out and still hit this switch to be able to access the next part because I need to kill this cyber demon right here and get the red key. So this is why I saved a whole bunch of cells, because I need to be able to kill this cyber demon, and there's not a lot of ammo to work with. So the Unmaker is really the only reasonable way of killing it, and I needed to carry a whole bunch of cells. I also need to get this key before I forget, so that might be important. So I had to be careful not to get splash damage to death by these rockets. Alright, so he's dead, so now we just wait for the timer to expire, and that'll teleport us back up to the start. So the red key is used for the exit door, but it's also needed to get the secret coming up. This secret coming up was changed to where you need the red key to access it. So we're just going to activate these stairs. So that gives us 2 cells. And then the yellow key that we picked up accesses this. And this is the secret exit. So this is coming up to our final secret level. Unfortunately, this is my least favorite secret level. This is Roll the Dice. And that title is very, very appropriate. So whenever I hit a switch, several possible things happen, and I'm going to manipulate that with quick saves and pistol firing to get the results I want, because I really, really want very specific things here. So I want to get a BFG out of this because I want the cells. Okay, so that's 2 things done. So I need 3 different things to happen in the room. So that's 1. I actually got the second Unmaker key, so that's one of the 3 things. The other 2 things I need are opening the exit and then making these walls come down, because there are only 2 enemies already spawned on the map. That's really good luck right there. So we're going to have this cyber demon come over here. And once he gets to a certain spot, I'm going to fire. I'm going to wake up the mother demon, have the rockets come hit the cyber for me, and I'm going to get them to infight. That did not hit that guy. This is bad. Okay, now they're infighting. So that's the second thing I want happening, because these are the 2 enemies that are spawned in already. Now I need to get the exit open. So I'm actually going to start reloading saves as needed while they're duking it out. That's okay. That just spawned a couple missiles. So there's several unfavorable things that can happen. There can be missiles fired from those walls right there. Or there can be a whole bunch of enemies that spawn. Okay, the exit open, I actually got all favorable outcomes. This might actually end up being my fastest roll the dice ever. So I'm going to wait for the cyber demon to fire. We're going to do BFG shot. Nice! Got him in 1 hit right there. Perfect. So the BFG is a very special weapon in this game. It has the giant ball, which does 100 to 800 damage in increments of 100. But that's not where most of the damage comes from. So when you fire the BFG and shoot the ball, that angle gets locked in. And then when the ball explodes, a whole bunch of invisible tracers come from Doomguy's current position at the angle the ball was fired. And those can do several thousand points of damage. For reference, that Cyber Demon had 4,000 HP. So it got weakened by the Mother Demon for a bit, and then we was able to just slam our face into it with the BFG to clean it up. So the rule of the BFG is that people often treat it like a shotgun and strafe around enemies, and that means your tracers miss. So what you want to do is take the BFG, fire it straight at your target, and then run up and give it a big fiery hug. So love kills, y'all.
It's really, really good on the boss enemies if you can get up real close, but dangerous against some of them because getting up really close, because we were talking about the rocket damage and how large the variance is, but cyber demons fire a rocket that is a player rocket, so they can just do ridiculous amounts of damage to you.
288 points of damage. Yeah, just 288 points of damage. it can hurt. So I'm gonna let this Arachnotron fire on these guys for a bit, because we'll come back here because we have to get a secret. This barrel maze was changed in versions prior to 2.8. This was a time script. Now it's activated by hitting these barrels that spawn, which is a really cool, neat effect. So this was rerouted to be significantly faster. And there's a very specific path I take to make sure I don't get trapped and also don't have enemies wander off, because I have to go back to that other island. And the Lost Souls can kind of follow me, so I have to do things in a very specific way right here. So once I hit these next two barrels, I'm going to make a very unintended jump. Oh, there's still a barrel somewhere. Uh-oh. Where's the other barrel at? Okay. I have to plan out how I want to do this. This is really bad. So here's what I'm going to do here. There we go. Still managed to make it happen. So I actually made a jump all the way back to that portal, because those portals are not supposed to be accessible until I take care of the next fight. But being able to jump back into it means I can grab the invulnerability and carry it into this fight. So I'm going to have the Arachnotrons get very, very pissed off at these Hell Knights right here and let them do all this fighting while I'm collecting supplies. So I'm glad that managed to work out, because that was a little off the rails. But that's the fun thing about Doom for me, is that things can go off the rails. You have to know how to get things back on.
It's really rare to go through an entire Doom run and not have to improvise.
Yeah, you're never going to get optimal luck. That just doesn't happen, especially in a 2+ hour run. So knowing how to back things up is the important part. So that was actually really good to back it up that way. So now we're going to go to the third island right here. This has some really cool geometry. I think Monuments to the Cement God has my favorite geometrical structures. It's just like a giant tower, but done in really weird triangles and rectangles. So I have a little bit of a trick coming up right here. I accidentally forgot to activate the elevator. So this elevator will go up an extra floor once I hit a switch. I want to get on that elevator ASAP. I was facing the wrong way. So I'm going to get rid of everything here and then bolt for the elevator, get up here now, and activate this switch, which would normally cause a Pell Elemental to get spawned. But because the Mancubus was still in a good position because I got on the elevator early, that Mancubus blocks the Pin Elemental from showing up, which makes things so much easier to deal with. So we've got the blue key now. We're going to do a little bit of cleanup here. Hopefully enemies are doing a little bit of infighting up ahead, but we've got some rockets here to deal with the enemies down here. I do need to get rid of some imps while I have some downtime, because I do have to kill them later and they can gum up the pathway. We'll just get rid of all of them. We're going to duck for cover right here. Oh, they're doing some really good infighting right here. That was actually very favorable, and they're still infighting right there.
Yeah, and one thing to look out for people who aren't as familiar with Doom is when you see Zelo fighting Pinkies, you'll notice that he's going to back up a lot. And that's because the way the animation of the Pinkies attack animation works is if you get in their face and then back up at the right timing, they just always miss.
Yeah, it's really nice to trigger their melee attack and then not actually have to deal with a melee attack. Alright, we're coming up to the end of the level here, so we've got a little bit of a sequence where we're going to have a bunch of nightmare enemies, but we're going to just show the power of the 2-key Unmaker some more. There are a ton of cells in this area. You're normally supposed to do this with the plasma gun, which is unfortunately it's a much slower than it is in PC Doom, so it's definitely not as good. Even a 1-key Unmaker trumps the plasma gun pretty heavily, so we're going to block a Cacodemon from showing up, get rid of this one, and then we're going to pick up all this stuff as we clear out the waves here. These waves are also now kill-based instead of time-based, which is really nice. This makes things so much faster. Then we're going to block a Nightmare Mancubus from showing up, so I can find out where the last enemy is. There he is. He's all the way in the distance. So block one Nightmare Mancubus here, and then the other one is all the way at the very end. Good. And hopefully that's everything. I shouldn't have anything missing as long as no loss.
Talking about the Unmaker versus the plasma gun,
Perfect.
It feels like the Unmaker's already just kind of trumping it anyway, because it's hit scan, and it's, that's the whole point of the plasma demon's really high DPS weapons, but the Unmaker being hit scan accurate from so long of a range, it feels like it's just doing that job already.
Yeah, it really puts in so much work. What level are we in? This is the misaligned and maligned. So there is a central puzzle right here with this hub. You have to hit the switches in the right order to make the platforms go up, and that gets you to each of the keys, and then you explore another sector, and you just rinse and repeat. This has some really, really interesting choices for secrets and some of the enemies that can show up here. So we have a nasty trap. If you're not ready for this one, you get blocked in by a whole bunch of cacodemons, and as well as a bunch of like lost souls and such that'll show up right up there. There's also a secret that I can actually soft lock, so I'm going to be very careful to not have that happen. So I'm going to let this elevator rise all the way to the top, and then hit this switch right here. So if you manage to hit that switch as the platform's still rising up, then it will not rise up all the way to the top, and you cannot get that chainsaw, so you are soft locked out of 100. So I wait just a little bit just to make sure that doesn't happen. It's just one of the nice, funny little quirks that you find when you're routing a huge category like this.
Sounds like one of those things that everybody will do.
So
at
I
least
want to kill
once,
these as
so.
fast as possible. Only if you're me and try to make things as fast as possible. So 1, 2, 2, 1 is the sequence right here. You can do those presses in any order. You just need the correct number of presses. So this will let us get the red key coming up, and that'll take us to the next outside area. And we actually won't be solving the puzzle for the next key, because there's actually another way to get it that we'll actually utilize. We'll talk about that in just a second. So make sure I get all this health here. So we're going to clear all these enemies out. Hit the switch so we can progress. There's a hidden switch all the way in the distance right here that I'm going to hit with the chain gun. So that actually activates... Oh, shoot. That is not the weapon I want. Well, you can have a BFG shot. That's okay. You can have a BFG shot for free. So that hidden switch that I managed to activate opens up a teleporter for later. But more importantly, I need to not fall. Falling here is instant death. You just kind of get teleported into a sector that kills you instantly. And once I cross a certain floor right here, a certain line def on this floor, a bunch of enemies show up, and that also includes several lost souls off in the distance that I hate dealing with. They're going to come around this corner here, and unfortunately this is extremely inconvenient, but the best thing I can do here is just wait for them to show up. So 2 of them are actually infighting. One actually died from that, so that's all 3 of them now. It took me forever to figure out where those came from, and once I found that, I was mad, so... But we dealt with them okay. So we're actually not going to go up those stairs.
I was saying I like the surprise cacodemon shot from behind, like, surprise, I'm alive still!
Yeah. Surprise. So the hidden switch that was behind that teleporter that we activated takes us to the Soul Sphere secret. That's also an alternate way to get the yellow key right here. So we would actually do that in speed as well and completely skip doing that last little puzzle. I'm just going to do a quick sweep just to make sure no Nightmare Marines wandered off, because they like to do that and ruin my 100% kills. Yep, there's one. Goodbye. Make sure no one's here. Okay, so that should be everything. So we should be able to go to the exit. Just a bunch of imps, and then there's a one last Arachnotron in the last room. And I am actually going to prep a BFG shot for this because this guy is nasty.
Says, sorry about those lost skulls in chat.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven. Alrighty. Good for that. So, this is Prismatagoria right here. This is the closest we get to a psychedelic trip. You're going to be seeing this hallway a lot right here. So, there are 6 different areas. There is a secret in each of those 6 areas, and we're going to be exploring all of them. And each of them has kind of like a little bit of a theme, which is really neat here. So, this involves a whole bunch of like lighting tricks as well. From what I remember when Squib was talking about that, they were experimenting with some really cool like lighting, and you can make the enemies almost transparent if you do it in certain ways. So that's what kind of one of the big gimmicks here. So we're gonna go to the Starburst room next. This is one of the biggest changed rooms right here. So we're going to start the script. In 2.8 and further on, there is a new area added here once you grab this rocket launcher. So first we're going to grab the hidden rockets here. This is our secret for the area. If you manage to walk over here past this fake wall that lowers, you find the trans rights shrine. So Squibba says trans rights, and that's important. But that isn't just for show. Inside that trans rights shrine, there is a switch that completely stops the script. Normally a whole bunch of other barons and other enemies would show up, but by being able to stop the script early, we don't need to kill anything else or return to this room. So not only is it cool, it saves time. So into the, I don't know what to call this, the
Yeah.
Hotline Miami room. I always think Hotline Miami when I see this background, and I think this is like one of Amorpher's contributions to this WAD. I think Amorpher was the one who came up with the background, which is really cool. Like so many people, like Squib was the main author for the WAD. Nice face, Rocket. Squib was the main author for this WAD, but other people did contribute as well, and Amorpher definitely helped with a whole bunch of stuff like sound and graphics wise. So
Yeah,
big
it's got
shout
that
outs to
vaporwave
him.
feel, definitely.
How much of this is available in like the base game or the base tool set versus how much is added externally?
It's mostly just the graphics, the textures, and knowing how to script. The Doom engine is very flexible as a whole, so you actually, even with like base Doom Builder 64, you get a lot of the tools you need already. I don't think you really have to do too much. Somebody else more knowledgeable than me with banking maps can chime in on that, because I haven't made maps since like the mid 90s when I was a little kid with my dad. So we're going to grab this backpack here. That counts as the secret for this area. So now we have our doubled ammo capacity for the rest of the run again. Now we just have to climb all the way back up. I also just need to be careful that I didn't miss any enemies, since with the transparency effects, it's really difficult to see enemies, and I kind of rely on sound cues as well. Like being able to hear that pinky getting hit. So there's 3 of them right here on this last platform, so these should be the last area here. So that's 3 of the 6 areas down. So we can do the next 3 in any order. So we're going to go to the Yellow Canyon first. So, Ray and Cutie, you know what's worse than a normal Cyber Demon?
Oh, I was
How about a
wondering if that
Nightmare
was going
Cyber
to happen
Demon?
when you talked about nightmare enemies.
So his rockets are really, really
Oh my God.
fast. You can just kind of barely see them zooming by. This is why I do this area next. After grabbing the hidden soul sphere, I carry all that extra ammo, and we're just gonna grab all
do
these
more
cells
damage or
now.
just faster?
But I want to. It's just so much faster. But those things are so dangerous. So I get it out of the way ASAP while I have the health. So this is the Red Canyon. This is actually the most changed room. So originally this was like a kind of like church sanctuary that you would have to defend for several minutes. Squibba changes into this kind of like chasm area where you pick up invisibility spheres, and that lowers a whole bunch of platforms that you progress on. So we'll grab this radiation shield right here. That's our secret for the area. In the entire meantime, there are a ton of Mancubi on the edges of this room that are constantly trying to snipe you. So as long as you move fast, you won't get hit, usually. Unfortunately, I got hit because I forgot to grab this. But thankfully, we don't need to actually kill the Mancubi. When we finish this room, a script starts and a crusher comes down and smashes all of them to death. So thankfully, I don't need to kill them by hand. I just need to finish the room. But I appreciate this change because it definitely breaks up a lot of the fighting. Because this is a very fighting-heavy back half of the WAD. And it was nice to get some changes that kind of broke it up and made it faster. So I do appreciate Squibba for just really taking a lot of the feedback into consideration as I played through the WAD and did the initial runs of the
It's
speed
also
category.
nice, even in a combat-heavy WAD, to have some levels that are a little less intense, you know? The pacing breaks are nice.
Alright, so this is the last room we're going to do. The Dark Forest is significantly easier than previous versions. There are no more Lost Souls or Cacodemons that show up now. It's just a bunch of soldiers. This invulnerability right here, we want to carry that into the final fight, which will be after this room. But for the most part, we only just need to like wait for like another 40 seconds or so and just let the enemy spawn and deal with them. And we have maxed out cells, so it's not a problem. But I will point out, there's several different types of Marines. And the type of Marine used in this room in particular is always the one that jibs, which is I find very amusing. Like, it doesn't matter even if you like punch it for 2 damage and manage to kill it, it will always jib and go into like that bloody animation. Just an interesting choice from the original developers.
Just gifted Squibba a sub, thanks so much.
Well
Yeah, this
deserved.
one is really cool.
Very well deserved. Alright, so the exit's opened up. Go ahead, Cutie.
I was gonna say it's as good a time as any with Swibba getting a gifted sub to let everyone know that first off, thank you all for hanging out with us and supporting Games Done Quick. All of your subscriptions, gift subs, bits cheered, etc. All those contributions do keep our shows running. So if you are enjoying the stream, do consider subscribing for emotes, ad-free viewing, access to chat during replays, all that fun stuff. We got a lot of great stuff in there. And now Swibba, well deserved, has access to a lot of those. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us and supporting the channel and the work that we do here.
Yes, thank you. So, there's a whole bunch of nightmare pain elementals in this room that spit out nightmare lost souls. So that's fun to deal with. So that's a big reason why I carry that invulnerability from the Dark Forest. Not only that, they're very difficult to see because of the transparency, so the invulnerability also kind of acts as like a makeshift torch, which is really nice.
You said nightmare pain elemental, and I just
All I can hear is like machine gun, pew 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 for like
pew
2
pew
minutes.
pew. This is the pew 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 gun. I'm sorry, it is very loud. It will actually get louder a little bit earlier, so I will call that out when that happens. Hopefully, we get out of here. So the psychedelics end, this mother demon dies, and that is the end of the level. And I pray that's everything. That is everything. And 7:09 is a pretty good time. That's pretty. All right, so Flotsam and an Astral Sea. So this is the most change level between categories because we normally have a big skip where we could get straight to the exit, and that would save, I think, it saves like 10 minutes compared to this category. This is one of the longest levels, if not the longest. Void Journeys might be the longest, but this is a huge map with a lot to explore, and this is actually the only map that was fully changed between revisions of this WAD. So when the UnMaking originally came out, this was a completely different map altogether, and it was another fighting-based one, but it was changed into more of an exploration kind of map. And there's a lot to explore that we will get into. Nice Nightmare Imp. So I need to get the final demon key, so I have to hit 3 hidden switches to find that. So I hit one that was all the way off in the distance. We're going to hit another one in just a second. We're going to deal with a whole bunch of other enemies first. So we have this really tight jump that we need to make right here. Nice first try. That's actually really tough to make. There's a hidden switch all the way in the distance there. We'll get the third switch after the next fight. But actually, I do want that cell because I am a little... I'm lower than I'd like. Cells just go such a long way because, as you can see, the Unmaker eats ammo like candy. We're going to trigger the enemies here, make sure we get rid of them. There's a bunch of lost souls that show up, but I want them to follow me into the next fight because we can deal with them while we're dealing with other stuff. So a whole bunch of Mancubi are going to show up on the outside here, and there are also a bunch of rockets that are going to come down. So this is a timed script, and I want to weaken these Mancubis, but not kill them, because by keeping them weakened, they'll block other Mancubi from showing up later on. They'll block their spawns, and then I can just kill the weakened Mancubi a little bit later, which is much more efficient use of my ammo. So while I'm getting rid of all of that, the lost souls from earlier that I talked about also follow me up, so we can deal with them now while we're on a time script and just have a little bit less downtime. That one's all the way up there. I don't like him being there. This room also gets very chaotic because of all the rockets showing up, so we're just going to take very specific paths to make sure the homing rockets don't tag me, because they can do 60 plus damage a pop, and that, when you have like 10 of them stacked on top of each other, that pretty much just kills you.
I was going to say, leaving Mancubi alive in that number is dangerous, because it just creates this chaos in the room.
Yeah, so we're going to wait until a certain number of rockets show up. It's 3 fast rockets that we want to show up here. I think that's the third. I'm gonna save and get in spot. Oh, that's bad actually. That's actually really bad. I was going to block that mother demon. I am out of position for it. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So we're just gonna shoot the mother demon to death. This is unfortunately very costly on my cell, so I'm just gonna have to make up the cell somewhere else. There's also a whole bunch of pain elementals that show up in this room, which is the big reason why I wanted to have my Unmaker out, but unfortunately now we're really down on cells, so I'm gonna have to figure out a backup plan, which we can do. It's okay. Like I said, know your backups. But now we're just gonna deal with the remaining lost souls and all the weakened Mancubi while I have the invulnerability, and then we should be okay from here on out. So we'll probably just have to use Some other weapons for now. I want to make sure all the Mancubi are dead before we leave this room. We'll pick up the extra rockets
I
too,
wonder how
because
much
they're
Squib is
useful.
in the background going, yes,
so we're
you have
gonna
to
get-
fight it the intended way.
Yes, I actually have to fight. So we're gonna drop down here. I'm going to hit the last switch. This opens up the secret area with the final Unmaker key, and also murals for Zoyahu and Stepsy, 2 of our community members who did a bunch of playtesting. They are lost in the void forever, unfortunately. So now we have a 3-key Unmaker. So our fire rate is already maxed out, but now we get to shoot 3 lasers at a time, which is extremely ammo intensive. So I have to be very careful with how I use that, which is why I'm going to switch to the SSG and just kind of clear out the imps here. I would like to use my Unmaker to clear these out fast, but we don't have cells anymore, so gotta make do with what you got. So that's the first of the 2 keys we need for progression. So we're gonna go to the next area next, and the library will be coming up shortly, but before that, we're going to take a stop into the graveyard. I want to do them in a specific order because when I finish the library, a whole bunch of other enemies show up, and I really don't want them moving around. So I figure doing the graveyard first and then doing the library is a little bit easier for progression. So I'm just going to make sure everything here is dead. We'll just make sure they're all nice and tucked away. So if I enter a certain grave, I would get in a huge fight. I don't want that. I'm just going to activate this hidden switch over here and just get the secrets and leave. They can stay nice and dead. You've already watched me die enough. You've watched enough enemies die enough. You don't need to watch them. Now, the library is the tricky part because coming up, there are a whole bunch of invisible line deaths that cause enemies to spawn, and I'm going to have to avoid as many as possible. And this took a lot of trial and error to figure out where these line deaths were and how to approach this maze, because I need to get a whole bunch of other secrets as well. So I do get one line death that I'm not going to be able to skip. So we just kind of deal with that now. Grab this backpack, grab the cells that are over here, and then by jumping in from above, we're able to skip at least a few other line deaths. I need to skip to very specific ways. I also need to activate that cubby hole for later. So we're going to jump to here, jump here. Oh, I have a... I got blocked from 30 feet below. It's okay. So we're going to jump to this secret, and then we're going to jump out in a very careful way to make sure I don't trigger certain deaths. Deal with you. I think there's an enemy behind here. Okay, there's no enemy behind there. There's a zombie man there, and there's a shotgunner over here. So that should take care of everything. Nice, Arachnotron. He came to work. So the moment I grab that blue key, a whole bunch of cacodemons actually spawn, and they can take those line deaths in. They can take different line deaths in the maze to teleport around, which is really bad and annoying. So I take a very specific path to make sure I can snipe all of them out now. And we're just going to use rockets on you. So most of the enemies in the library are dealt with now. There's just a couple more secrets to get. We're going to jump over here, behind this bookcase. Take care of you. Oh, hi. Well, you at least conveniently teleported to where I could get to you. So that's good. So there's a nice, nasty surprise. If you try and leave the library, there's a cyber demon where the entrance was. But if you take this if you take this secret exit out of it, we just telefrag it.
Amazing.
So don't have to worry about that. Also, those cell packs that I picked up, if you hit the blue key switch first, those cell packs disappear. And I learned that the hard way during an attempt. So make sure you grab those first.
We were talking about it on the other level, but I love the skybox.
Take a moment to appreciate.
Yeah,
you gotta appreciate the term telefrag. I don't think I've ever heard that before, but I love it.
It's a very yeah, classic. And even in Doom, it's still used. Anyways, because I finished the library, a whole bunch of Nightmare Lost Souls popped up. So this is why I wanted to do the library later compared to the graveyard or the other area, so that we can make sure they aren't straying too far from positions. Very safe for make sure I get everything. Because they love to wander this huge room, and it's very difficult to see because the draw distance is a little short from where you'd want it. Gonna make sure we clear everything out. There should be a couple more over here. Okay, so that should take care of everything. So we're going to go back up this elevator the way we came. If I try and take the other elevator, I hit a line death that spawns even more enemies. Yeah, like I said, extremely complicated level to route. There is a Zombie man somewhere over here. He managed to get all the way over here. Wow, that's impressive. Usually he's in the main area. All right, so we are like roughly halfway through this level.
Only half.
Like maybe 60% of the way through. Maybe 60% of the way, but it's a big one. So a pain elemental spawns over here now. Deal with you. So I'm going to deal with these guys. There's a very well hidden secret. I actually like how clever this one is and how you don't have to like have huge jumps right to make clever secrets. You just kind of slip into this gap right here and just go all the way around the edge. I fell off though. Doom guy, why can't you just jump up 2 inches? Come on, man. Armor ain't that heavy. Kind of just
Oh no,
edge
you
our way
have
around.
you have the helmet behind you, right? How much does that weigh?
More than I'd like. Alright, so now we're on the other side of the blue doors here. There was actually changes made to this map past 2.7, so in 2.8 onwards. Part of this map was actually restructured to where there's less symmetry. That area behind those blue doors used to be a lot longer, and it's nice to have that shortened down a little bit more streamlined, because it didn't add too much. It's nice to have it. So now we're in the basement. I'm going to activate a switch to start a bunch of fights coming up, and then we're going to use the BFG a bit coming up here. So the BFG isn't good for just strong single targets. You can use it to do a whole bunch of enemies at once, like this. So we're just going to get rid of a whole bunch of pinkies at the same time, which just saves a whole bunch of work, especially since those are nightmare pinkies, so they're especially tanky and difficult to deal with. While these walls are coming down, we're just going to make sure we get the corners swept out. There's going to be another wave of enemies coming, and then the elevator opens up after that. I think I've got everything in this lower area. I'll wait for these walls to come down again. So another set of enemies here. I think I actually have extra cells. I think I'm going to burn another BFG shot. Deal with you. So 2 Nightmare Hell Knights to deal with. So another secret over here behind a fake wall. We'll just get this invulnerability. My health is low, but it's okay. I have a Soul Sphere coming up right here. This is really convenient too, because if I run full speed at this Soul Sphere, I block an Arachnotron from showing up. So just really, really convenient.
It's amazing how much you're like blocking spawns by doing things you already want to be doing anyway.
Yeah, it's just really handy that the things I already want to do are optimal. Alright, so 4 Cacodemas are going to show up here. We're going to deal with them in a second. I'm going to get to the red key first from here, and that's going to trigger a Nightmare Cacodemon to spawn, as well as some other enemies. But from here on the tower, it's just easy to snipe everything out. So we're going to deal with these. I'm going to save cells. Like, it would be optimal to use them here, but the next level is kind of a pain in the butt without cells, and I want to make sure I have enough, so we're just going to rock these out for a bit. That should actually be enough. I should. Like, optimally, I think I would have like 0 cells. So hopefully this will be a 100% right here. This is the last level we'll play before we take a break. So hopefully we're good. Something was 99. Something is missing. So now we get to go do the hunt. So what is missing? This is the fun part about playing this,
This is a big map
category.
too, to have to do
Is
this
that,
on.
yeah, and the also painful thing is, like, I've already raised up the bridges, and because of that, it's more annoying to get around the middle of the map. So this is a challenge. So we might be here for at least another couple minutes. I'm also concerned because there was a pain elemental that exploded next to a wall, and I'm praying the pain elemental didn't go out of bounds, which has happened on a hotfix before when I've done max for things. So we're gonna do a bit of hunting. I'm hoping it's just something I just missed.
Hopefully just
we're just gonna take a good
hopefully
look
just
around.
A nightmare enemy kind of fading into the background and being easy to miss.
Yeah. So there's nothing in the graveyard because I didn't spawn anything there, so we know there's nothing there. So let's check parts of the library. Oh, okay. There's a Hell Knight right there. That's hopefully it.
How much can they like wander across the map versus stay to
A
like
lot.
where they respond? Okay.
So there are ways to stop enemies from moving past a certain point. You can set those kinds of things, but most enemies will just chase you. And in Base Doom GDQ 64, I have had Lost Souls chase me from literally one end of the map to the other. Like, no joke. All right, there's our 100. So
Yay.
yeah, 13 minutes in game time. So this is a good time for our next break. So we'll stop it right there.
All right. As mentioned before, we like to take a break every hour or so, make sure people have a chance to rest, grab some food, grab some water, stay hydrated, say hello to your pets, whatever you need to do. Now is a great time to do it. And while we are on break, I've seen a lot of people in chat asking how to get involved with this game and get involved with speedrunning. And a great way to do that is to join Discord communities. And specifically right now, I'm talking about the GDQ community. So if you want to join the official Games Done Quick Discord, I'll throw the link in chat there, and you can add the hotfix role to stay up to date on upcoming events, chat with staff, and more. So make sure you check that out during the break if you're not already in there. But we'll be back in just a few minutes with the conclusion of this exciting run. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Perilous Paths here on GDQ Hotfix. We are in the last leg of an incredible Doom 64, the UnMaking run. But before we talk or get back into that, I do want to let everyone know if you've missed any of this run, because it is a bit of a long one, or any of our events or anything else that's going on, like we just had Oops You Died over the weekend, always one of my favorite events, you can check out our YouTube over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And if you're somehow in the future, 2 weeks from now, whatever, watching this on YouTube, do consider liking, subscribing, or becoming a channel member to help support GDQ. Every little bit really does help us, and it does go a long way. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the end of this run. I'm really excited for the last few maps here.
Thank you, Kitty. I will give a quick warning. This is going to be a very loud level with the Unmaker. I will explain why as we go through, but I'm just going to give a sound warning. It's going to be very loud. We'll go back in 3, 2, 1, go. So how many demons can dance is this level? And the answer is a lot. So we're going to get this hidden Megasphere. This is the only secret for a level. And we need to do a lot of killing. So there are 4 waves activated by switches around the main pillar here. They're going to be constantly spawning in. I'm actually going to wait here for a bit to let a certain number of enemies spawn, and since I didn't aggro the others, they managed to stop other enemies from spawning in for a bit, so it's a minimum amount of pinkies coming in here. But now we're going to start switching to the Unmaker, and the Unmaker is really, really powerful. It is also really, really loud in this room because of the kind of room we're in actually amplifies like the sound and noise. So you're going to be hearing this for the next 3 or so minutes, so get used to it.
So since we know the answer, because you have to get 100% kills, how many demons can dance?
More than I can fit in my house, and my house is pretty spacey, so... But after we clear each wave, the first 3 waves are kill-based waves. The last one is time-based, so we can take our time on that one, which is good because that's an extremely dangerous wave that I kind of want some extra cells for, so we're just going to save a little bit right there. Also, if you fall, you die instantly. So
Squibba says in chat, this whole level is flagged Echo. I don't know why I did that.
So the third wave right here is Hell Knights and Pinkies together. There are ammo pickups that spawn with every wave, but I still need to be very careful with how I use my ammo because cells are very hard to come by and pick up since they only come in packs of 20 here in this wave, and the big cell packs will only be in the final wave. So thankfully we're doing pretty good on cells, especially since I carried over some extra from the last level. So we'll just get rid of the extra pinkies. So the nice thing about using the laser in this level is that you can just kind of snipe everything off. And now we do the very last wave, which is extremely dangerous because there are a whole bunch of arachnotrons that show up on these pillars as well. We need to get rid of them ASAP. This is also, density-wise, the most intense wave because there are going to be a lot of Hell Knights to cut through. So I still need to get cells. There are big cell packs right here, and these cell packs are kind of getting covered by these Hell Knights, just like these fireballs are covering me. So this is extremely dangerous with more and more waves of enemies coming in. You really have to understand how to control the space, kind of leave some enemies behind you to make sure that they block some of the shots for you. Otherwise, you're going to get overwhelmed by all the fireballs, getting hit by 80 to 90 damage fireballs everywhere. There are some health pickups on the side that we can take advantage of, but we want to especially save the Soul Sphere and the Mega Armor for the next level. So we're going to just kind of take things very slow, just do some very easy cleanup here. So after a certain amount of time passes, the final pillar comes down in the middle. and we can leave the level. So we should be coming up soon. We'll just do a little bit of a sweep. Alright, that should be everything, unless a Pinky decides to walk around one of these pillars, but should be okay. I just barely grabbed that Mega Armor in time, wow. There's about a half-second delay when you finish a level, so I was able to trigger the exit script and then leave. Alright, so remember the Helamo. I actually have a lot to talk about here, because this is another time-based level with scripts. In later versions of UnMaking, there is actually a super secret that doesn't count as a secret. It's not marked as one. But if you manage to find this secret, you would actually be able to skip to a modified version of the final wave of enemy and leave the level early. So I timed that out, and I actually do use it in speed. This is normally a 9-minute level waiting through all these timed waves. If you were to do that skip, you could finish it in less than 2. And you're thinking, well, if it saves so much time, why am I not doing it here? Unfortunately, this level also has a death exit, and we have a skip for that death exit, actually. But if we were to take the super secret, that skip is no longer available because the invulnerability sphere would not spawn. So you would think, well, certainly it still saves time to do it that way. No, it does not. The level, not the next one, but the one after that, is the longest level in the WoD and the most complicated by far, and the one that I had to spend time, like, days and days routing. That level is so big that going in with full armor, health, and ammo, with a maxed out backpack and all my equipment, saves time over taking the 7+ minute skip.
Even
in
just
this
not
level.
having your 3-key Unmaker anymore would make a huge difference, I would assume.
Yes. So we're just gonna slug it out right here for the next another 6 or 7 minutes. But remember the Helamo. It's very appropriate for me since I live in Texas, so I live several hours drive from the actual Alamo. And as we get into each wave, these walls on the Helamo will sink into the ground and there's less and less protection as we go on. It's a really neat concept in a good way, and if you try and step outside into the lava, then you get damaged very, very fast. Now, there is a pillar island over there, which is very handy because it does have some secrets if I need it. I really do not want enemies flying off like that Lost Soul almost did. There is a very, very big space out there that enemies can fly into, and it is extremely difficult to track enemies down for 100% kills if they fly out. And unfortunately, that does include this upcoming Cacodemon wave, so I'm going to wait for them to come here and just wait for them to show up. But other than that, we're just going to be slugging it out. There are many, many cell packs to power my Unmaker, so I would love for y'all to be able to chime in or read questions from chat, and we can answer them as we go.
I need you to know the face I made when you said this is a 9-minute map. I was like, no, oh my god.
Yes. Well, don't worry. The one that we skip is even longer. Like the one that we keep all this equipment going for is 12+ minutes. And if I did not have my equipment because of the way that level is designed, I'm pretty sure it would take close to half an hour to get 100% on everything. So, trust me, it's worth doing it this way.
God, the Cacodemons.
Wow, you take a lot of damage when you're out there.
Yeah, even with the half damage protection from the Mega Armor, the lava damages you really quick, which is tied to how you get the hidden secrets in this level, to get to the super secret. Because there's I won't spoil it. If you want to know, you can watch my my any percent run, my speed, my watch me die speed, which is the any percent, and that has the solution for that. Oh my god, that Lost Soul actually came back. I'm so glad he showed up. He was no longer lost. The Lost Soul was no longer lost. All right, so 2 Cyber Demons have showed up. Thankfully, with everything, they move pretty slowly in this game. Thankfully, Cyber Demons are extremely slow compared to PC Doom. So they're just gonna kind of Neanderthal towards the middle here, and we can deal with them one at a time. It's not a big deal. That imp is also floating in midair, by the way. I love how sometimes they get caught on kind of that geometry that lowers and they stay stuck in the air. That actually reminds me to cut a practice attempt where I had a body just kind of get launched on the first level, so I got to do that after this run.
Yeah, and for people who aren't familiar, Cyber Demons are really dangerous in levels like this because Zila's not just dodging the rockets, but having to make sure that he doesn't have his back against a wall. Because if you dodge the rocket, it can still explode right next to you, and that splash damage can still do a ton of damage to you.
Yeah, splash can do up to 128, just relative to your distance from the rocket.
Yeah.
So
In a
it's
limited
still
area
pretty
like
deadly.
this, you know, a small level where you don't have a lot of room to dodge and there's a lot of walls around, they can still be very dangerous.
All right,
I feel
so
like
since we go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say I feel like we've lost appreciation since the '90s for rockets. Like I grew up on like rocket jumping and splash and all that fun stuff you used to be able to do with rockets. Whatever happened to that? We're in
I
like
don't
the
know.
2020s and the rockets are just gone.
Don't worry, we still got Quake 1 Remaster and Quake 2 Remaster that has all the rocket jumping you need as well. Also, excellent ports by Night Dive as well. I recommend them.
TF2 got an update this year, right? So rocket jumping there
Did it
too.
really?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
TF2's still going. I did not know that.
Even when I'm playing like Quake Remaster for multiplayer, I still do rocket jumping all over the place in that. It's just so good. So not too much else going on right now. There's a Mancubus wave right here, and then the next wave is Nightmare Imps and Arachnotrons. That's probably like the second most dangerous one to deal with, just because of Arachnotrons are deadly. I'm gonna wait in here for a bit, just let them kind of come to me. There is a secret invulnerability that spawns. That'll be our remaining secret. We triggered the optional secrets already, which was hitting the switch and getting some of the power-ups. We're going to use that invulnerability on the last wave, which is the 2 mother demons that show up, and we're going to use that to also skip the death exit, so that's why I'm going to save that for later. Yeah, if you were to play this level normally, like from a pistol start, this is actually pretty dangerous, because you don't have a 3-key unmaker to cheese everything. You would actually have to like do some hard combat because you'd have a plasma gun. You would have a BFG at some point, I think, but it's pretty difficult. All right, so here's the next wave coming in. We do have the Nightmare Imps and the Arachnotrons here. One thing to note is that if you fire the Unmaker and there's no target, no wall that's close enough, you won't actually see any lasers spawn. So aside from targeting the other island, if I see a laser, that means I'm hitting something, so I can use that as kind of a visual cue for like, oh, there's something in the distance that I'm hitting, which is good for those Arachnotrons because those Arachnotrons are a little bulky. Like, they're surprisingly as dense as Hell Knights are, and you wouldn't normally expect that, but they each have 500 HP, I think. I also have to be careful not to get trapped by Plasma Fire. So Plasma Fire from Arachnotrons, the damage really racks up in this game in 64.
It's always impressive when you deal with like a big wave of Mancubus, because you're dodging and weaving through so many rockets like you're playing Returnal or something.
Oh, I deal with them better here than I do in New Doom, I'll tell you that much. Alright, so we're waiting on the Mother Demons. Alrighty, so I'm going to wait a little bit for them to come to me. We're going to grab this invulnerability. I'm going to save, because this is basically a one-time trick. We're going to grab the invulnerability. We're going to deal with the 2 Mother Demons ASAP. Where are you? I hear you. There you are. You're inside here. So I need to kill them and then get to the exit before this invulnerability runs out. That is the key right here. Where's the other one? Where's the other one? There it is. So once I kill this last Mother Demon, the exit opens up. So I want to make sure I'm filled up on cells. I almost didn't have enough, so we're going to get to the exit before this invulnerability runs out. I'm going to skip the death exit, just barely right there. Please tell me that's 100% kills at least. Good, nothing wandered off. And so we skip the death exit. That means I keep all of my equipment going into the remainder of the game, which is very needed. So we have Raise a Glass right here. This is just kind of a nice little breather level. You have like the little names on these textures. We're going to get our 1 secret. These are like people that have helped Squibba over the years, so it's like support and everything. And every time you grab a health potion, a pillar rises up, and you're supposed to have all 6 of them to be able to reach the Soul Sphere, which teleports you. Well, even in this level, there's a skip. I'm going to get to the 4th one, and I'm just going to grab the Soul Sphere from there. Even in a tiny level like this, there's like a 5-second skip.
Hey, every little bit matters.
Every little bit matters. So, welcome to the Void Dreams of Huge Guts. This is the level I am always worried about because this is huge. Now, to be fair, I love the green flame skybox. That's my favorite in the base game. But this is a doozy of a level. I have to find 6 keys and something like 18 secrets. So, and also because I wanted all my equipment, because in this level, if I were to do it from a death exit, I would have to get all my weapons again. They are very inconveniently placed in this level, and I would have to go get my weapons and trigger a whole bunch of extra enemies, aside from the ones that I'm already going to trigger, to be able to get my 100% kills. I don't want that. So I firmly believe that even playing through all of Remember the Helimo, it saves time to have everything going into this level and being able to just slaughter everything. So we picked up our first key. There are 6 keys in this level, 2 of each color. We need all of 6 of them to access a secret hidden demon key, because you would normally have the death exit, so you would lose all your demon keys normally. I already have all 3, but we can still pick up the ones that we need for secrets. But I need to pick up the normal keys in a certain order because of just how this level's built. Several of the keys are just progression based. I think there's still a pinky below me. Let me make sure. Yep. So I also need to make sure there are not any enemies getting left behind, because as you can tell, this is a huge map. Like, you can kind of see that tower off in the distance. I actually just hit the cyber demon all the way from there. I'm not supposed to be able to do that. We're not gonna fight him until the end of the level, so that's really funny. Somehow I managed to snipe him all the way from down there. That being said, the draw distance is not enough to cover how big this level is, and that actually does matter for a fight coming up, because I'm going to be shooting enemies past my draw distance, basically blind. So key number 2 right here, we're going to get the blue key, we're going to get this Unmaker secret that's on top of this waterfall. So that triggers an enemy spawn. So we're going to book it to the next area over here. So this is why I wanted 100 rockets and 600 cells coming into this level, because you need everything you can get. Because there are a whole bunch of flyers, there's a whole bunch of tanky enemies everywhere, and there's a whole bunch of lava in this area as well, so it's extremely difficult to manage. And there's a bunch of just nightmare variants of enemies, so not only are they more tanky, they're also just more difficult to see. I'm going to save that Berserk for later. So I need to deal with that Hull Knight that's over there. There's a whole bunch of enemies on ledges, so need to be very careful with my aim. There's a bunch of line deaths as well that are going to trigger more enemies in really inconvenient spots. That Mancubus was getting so close. I thought I was going to face rocket myself. So once I go far enough here, bunch of enemies spawn at him. So we need to take care of all of these Arachnotrons in the distance immediately, as well as these Cacodemons before they get too far off screen. That guy's still alive. Yeah, you can see there's fire coming in from all angles here. I'm hitting these Arachnotrons that are way off in the distance that you could barely see. So it's just absolute chaos. So imagine doing that without any weapons. They would just be sniping you the whole time, and you would have... It's just not fun. So
is that the intended path, to do the death ending and then come into this with no weapons?
No, that is absolutely not. That just happens to be a very convenient way to do it. Because you are definitely supposed to have an inventory wipe between episodes. So this is... we just kind of count this as the end of episode 3. So you were definitely intended to lose everything coming into this.
Okay, so the intended way was to do this with nothing.
Yes, and that's very not good for this category, which is why I'm glad we have the death exit strats. So... we're going to get our next key in just a bit. I am a little low on cells, so I'm going to conserve a few here. I'm going to let that Nightmare Lost Soul come to me. Come on, charge. There we go, much better. Okay, so once I get this key coming up, then a panel model spawns, so we just want to have our Unmaker on ready here. Yeah, I'm taking very, very specific lines as well, because I'm skipping so many enemies that you don't see here. Because, like I said earlier, if you don't spawn the enemies, then they don't count towards the max counter, and you don't have to kill them. But I am skipping way more things than it looks like. I think if I wasn't skipping him, the enemy count would probably be close to double in this level. So we're going to get rid of all these guys here, and then we're going to make our way towards the first hidden demon key. So make sure there's nothing around the corner. So this demon keys in the Watch Me Die speed category, I actually get 2 demon keys in this level because I actually do a death exit. So I have to make this jump, and this is the worst jump. Thankfully, I got that first try. Now I have to make the second jump, which is not easy either. This is like max distance. Wow, first try on both. That's incredibly lucky.
Let's go.
So I'm actually going to take this path here. We're going to go back and get the Soul Sphere just a little bit of safety. Grabbing one of those keys earlier opens up this hidden passageway back here, which is why I took the weird route to come all the way back. So now we can go up this area, and we can get access to the secrets that are back here. Yeah, that is extremely difficult to do, those jumps, especially in speed, because you're not killing enemies to make those jumps. You have enemies on all sides, and you just have to take your chances and pray that you can set it up instantly from a quick save or such. So this level is very difficult in both categories, because in speed you have to deal with that really difficult jump an hour 20 in, which can be a run ender. Oh, I actually have no cells. Wow. That's fine. And then in this category for max, you just have all the kills that you have to worry about, since you need to get everything.
So in
So
chat,
this is a very... Go ahead.
in chat, we've been talking about the extended Doom universe, including the comics and the movie franchises. What are your thoughts on the extended multimedia presence of Doom?
That is a good food for thought. I actually need to watch the movie again. It's been quite a while since I've seen it. I don't think I've spent much time on the comics, but I do like the comics from what I've seen.
This all started because we were trying to figure out the origin of Rip and Tear.
Alright, so I'd make this specific jump. So if you try and jump in the middle of that, you actually get blocked by a gargoyle statue that's like 30 feet down. So even just like geometry and like scenery can block you off. Even what's not dead, or what's dead or immobile. So we can now get up to this area that's back near the start. We're going to get our second demon key. Unfortunately, picking up extra demon keys past the third doesn't actually power up any further, but we just got to get the secrets anyways. So we're going to get this key coming up right here. So grabbing this key makes a whole bunch of cacodemons spawn at the very beginning towards where the tower was. So we're going to quickly climb back up. We're going to pick up an Involno that's over here in this little cubby hole. Want to be careful not to pick up those rockets to avoid tripping another wave. I'm going to turn auto run off and just carefully inch my way down so I don't overshoot this. So back up here. So thankfully we have enough cells to be able to do this, so we're just going to get over here. We're just going to snipe them out. Because I really want to make sure flyers are not in a bad spot. Alright, so another specific path. So we're like 2/3 of the way through. Don't worry. We're making progress in this level. We're going to go up this tower area right here. I'm a little low on ammo, so I'm going to trigger these manually and use the super shotgun for a bit. So we're going to go all the way up here. That's going to make a whole bunch of other enemies spawn. We're just going to kind of chain gun for a bit.
We're now talking extensively about The Rock. He was in the Doom movie. Scorpion King has been brought up. Chad is really cooking today.
Nice bite from 30 feet above
There's
me.
that infinite height we were talking
this is
about.
kind of a tricky jump. Exactly. Alright, managed to make that jump at least. That's a tricky jump to make from here. You can do it by climbing in from the stairs, but it's faster to do it this way, especially since I have to go to the canal right here and get this anyways. Alrighty, so now we're going to climb back up. There. I have rockets, and Arachnotron should be coming down right about now. There he is. Right on cue. Ask and you shall receive. So I'm going to pick up some rockets here on the side. I have to be careful not to move too far, otherwise I do trip some more enemies. Very gingerly pick those up. Doom guy's got long arms. I'm glad I was not too close to that. Alright, so after we get to a certain point on this platform, even more Lost Souls show up, as if there weren't enough. So we're going to pick these up. And I'm actually going to get rid of these Hell Knights first. And then this sets everything up to where a Lost Soul will be in this little cubby hole when I come back. There we go. It just works out that way. The positioning on them is a little weird. There's just been a lot of trial and error to figure out how to do this level. Like, the original route for this level, I think, took like 18 minutes, and optimally you can do it in about 12. It's a lot to remember and a lot to kill. So we're coming up on key number 5. Thankfully, getting to these last 2 keys is very short, unless you fall like I did. Where's the teleporter? There it is. That's not a problem. It's not too dangerous. We don't need to worry too much about health. Just don't do that again. Okay, so grabbing that blue key does let me get to the next key area, since normally it would have, I think a wall just doesn't come down, but you can see these like blue torches right here. Oh shoot, I wasn't supposed to pick that up. Well, there's a little bit of extra enemies for you, and it's actually pretty dangerous here. That's what you don't want to have happen. It's okay, we'll grab this. I thought I heard a fireball for a second. I don't... that. Oh, okay, I didn't take care of these Hell Knights. That's fine. Spirits. This is fine.
I like how you just reenacted the meme. You literally said this is fine while the entire map is on fire.
It really is. Alright, here's our last key right here. Just 2 pain elemental spawn. We'll just take them out. Like, thankfully, a very convenient cell packs right there. Alright, that should be everything. So now we can finally get to the center of the map. So we go back to the central area. So now that we have all 6 keys, all the torches here are lit, that lets us get this demon key right here. Now this final fight is a little scary. There are going to be 2 Nightmare Cyber Demons on opposite ends and a whole bunch of Nightmare Hell Knights. I do get an invulnerability for a little bit before I enter this lift. What I need to do is kill the first Nightmare Cyber Demon, and then grab the other one of the other invulnerabilities in this room before it runs out and I get targeted by everything. So it's going to be a little scary. So I'm going to focus for just a second here. Make sure I can get to a good spot. So hopefully the Cyber Demons will actually target me, because their rockets can damage the Hell Knights for me and make the cleanup a little bit easier here. Okay, so that's the first Cyber Demon down. Uh-oh, I did not get that other invulnerability, so we're going to have to fight for it again. Hopefully don't get sniped. Good. Alright, now we can do the cleanup here. So we're going to go to the other side here, clean up this Cyber. And we should be able to clear up all the Nightmare Hell Knights after this without any problems. But you can see the... my cell count is dropping like a rock. Like, this thing eats ammo like candy. And whenever you get the 3rd Unmaker key, the firing actually changes on this as well, to where it's more, every other shot like does more of a spread effect. So it's actually quite a bit more difficult to control, and you kind of want to be closer to enemies where possible. Now, I am hoping I do not have to go across this entire map again, so please pray for the 100%. Oh no, we have something going around. This is bad. Okay, so we can leave this area. I do have to wait for this script to end before we can leave. So this is bad. Oh, wait, hold on. I think it's just that Hell Knight. I think it was just that Hell Knight. We might still be good. I think it was just that Hell Knight. Please be the only enemy. There we go. Oh. So that was still a 13-minute level with that. So, if you were paying attention to like 2 hours ago, wow, because we're kind of back to where we were. This was where Manic Marines was. But Good Night and Good Luck is a very interesting gimmick. This is a neat little gimmick that's not too hard, but I appreciate the effort put into it. So Squibba wanted to kind of pay some tribute to some of their old maps. So we're going to be kind of seeing some of that. So you can see the darkness is actually enveloping parts of the map right now. This darkness does act as a poison sector. So we need to work fast. So we're actually going through several of Squibba's older WODs. So there were 3 WODs before this. UnMaking is the final WOD in the Un series. So the first one was Unaligned, and then we have, I think, Unbelievable, and then, so that's Doom 1 and Doom 2. And then the Heretic-based one was Unbeliever. No, okay, so Unbeliever, I can't remember what the second one is right now then, but those are the first 3. And then once we had those, then, why did that script not start? Hold on. That's concerning. A script didn't start. I want to be sure I get that started before that happens. For some reason, that didn't happen. That might be fine? I've never had this happen before. I'm going to have to say the thing. I'm just going to make a safety save real quick, just in case.
He said the thing.
There's supposed to be a whole bunch. There's supposed to be a bunch of darkness already showing up, and it's not showing up. So I'm kind of wondering how that's going to affect things. So I'm going to make that safety save right there, and we're just going to play the level out and see what happens, because the darkness gimmick is supposed to already have happened, and it's not. I don't know why.
I mean, is less poison a bad thing?
That is, but I don't know if that's going to somehow affect a kill counter at the end. That's what worries me. We might have to play the level again. Now, our estimate is high, and I've been doing pretty well as a whole, so we're just going to play this out and see what happens.
I mean, maybe we'll find some new tech here.
Maybe we will. So we'll get rid of you. Yeah, none of the other enemies are spawning. None of the other darkness sectors are happening. So I guess we're just going to play this out and see what happens. To finish my other thought, so we went through... So this is one of the maps from the Doom 2 WOD. The fourth one is UnMaking, which we're playing right now. So we're kind of just going back in time. So we did the one from UnMaking, and then we did the Unbeliever one, and then this is the Doom 2 one, and then we'll have one from Unaligned after this. So it's kind of like a little fun little gimmick, where as the darkness expands, more and more enemies spawn from the darkness. That also made this a little tricky to route, because it is easy to miss things, because there's a freaking cacodemon that does not want to die and was going to get lost back there. I would have been very sad. So these are also all time-based scripts, so as long as we just kill everything before the portals happen, it's not a problem.
For what it's worth, Scribba says they think it'll be okay.
I think it'll be okay too, but you never know. This is very uncharted territory. Maybe the next one should be called Uncharted.
I mean, Naughty Dog might have something to say about that. But...
They don't need to know. It's okay. They don't need to know. It's okay. Alright, so there are some enemies that spawn in the darkness that are a little bit difficult to deal with. I have to be careful for the cacodemons that show up. I have like no rockets. Oh, I want some rockets for the next level just for a little bit, but I do need to be careful because some cacodemons do show up that are a little difficult to see and they can get pushed off. There's something over there, I think. Yep. Okay, now they're gone. So there's gonna be one here. Somehow I'm already almost out of cells, and that's kind of concerning, because I would like more for the next room. We'll just use a rocket
I
slide.
love with how much the Unmaker just uses cells. You know, the one moment you've got several hundred, and then the next you're just out. It's like...
Yep. Alright, so this is the last room. This is the one from Unaligned. This is actually the first map in Unaligned, and I actually played the UnMaking first, so I wasn't sure what kind of what this was like a tribute to until I played Unaligned. And then I recognized this room, I'm like, oh. So, it's just going to be slugging it out with a few more enemies right here. So, the outside will turn dark first. We'll get some Nightmare Lost Souls right here. I do kind of need to conserve cells, because I need to make sure I have enough to be able to kill the last enemies before the exit condition is reached here. So we're going to just kind of take it easy on the cells, kind of get rid of stuff with the SSG, because I have plenty of shells for that for now. I don't need too many. I do actually need some shells for the next level, because there is a trick we need to do on the next level that involves the SSG. Who's shooting me? There's somebody in darkness. Get out here.
Age-old question, who's shooting me?
Okay, I think we're good right now. I just want to really be sure I'm not missing something. There's a lost soul somewhere. There you are. He's no longer lost.
It really is impressive watching you
so where's the
do
Mancubus?
these
There's the
final few
Mancubus.
maps.
Oh, there's a bunch of lost souls in there. What happened? Uh-oh. Okay, so you can see the darkness is shrinking. We're getting a lot less room to move here. Thankfully, this is the second to last wave coming up. Or I should say the second to last that we're going to actually fight. So we're going to deal with 2 Nightmare Pinkies right here. So there is a Nightmare Hell Knight that shows up. I'm just going to block it from showing up so I don't have to deal with it. Alrighty, so we have this little tiny space, and I think this is like a cool way to end the level. When the timer finally runs out, some scripts go off. You are enveloped in darkness, and the level ends. I think that's just such a cool way to. Okay, so the earlier scripts that we didn't trigger, thankfully did not matter. We got 100%. So this is Aligned in Darkness. This is the final level in the WAD right here. And, well, you're going to see a lot of black. I'm going to say that much because get used to seeing all this. So we have a fully powered Unmaker. We have this, we get teleported into this huge dark arena. I need to keep track of the edges. Keep an eye on that switch. That's very important. So there are actually only 4 enemies we need to kill to progress the scripts to end the level. So there's a normal cyber demon that we need to kill, then 2 nightmare cyber demons, and then a nightmare mother demon. Those are the only 4 enemies that we have to kill. But this is one big arena level where there are a ton of enemies constantly spawning in. And due to the layout, as you can see, there's no real landmarks. There's not really a feasible way to block enemies, and there's just going to be way too many of them. So we're going to have to deal with pretty much everything that comes out. Now, I'm using rockets to soften everything up because I want to be able to conserve cells into later waves. The only ammo I'm going to get from this point on is cells, which is great, but I need a lot of them. So let's use some of our other ammo while I can. So I'm going to take another lap around. So this level has one very important secret to grab. Normally, to access the secret, you're supposed to get boosted by the Mother Demon's flame attack, and then you shoot the switch while you're in midair, and that opens a secret teleporter for a little bit. So that's the normal way, the intended way to do that. But the Super Shotgun has a special property where each of the pellets, each of the 20 pellets that it fires, for specifically the Super Shotgun only, those can have a random height that they fire at, to the point where if I stand far enough away, I can actually hit that switch from ground level if I'm lucky. And that's extremely critical for this strat to work, because that secret area that we get access to has 3 sets of invulnerabilities and megaspheres and other stuff that's really, really needed. So I triggered the Cyber Demon, so I need to hopefully get lucky here. I heard the switch happen, we'll dash for it. So the Cyber Demon should be right in front of me now as I exit the secret, so that's perfect. So we'll just Unmaker it out with the invulnerability. So I'm going to turn right. I'm going to move here. And I see the switch, so we're going to turn right some more. So 2 Nightmare Cyber Demons show up. They show up at opposite ends of the corners of the arena here. So we're going to take care of this first one. We're going to get back in the secret and get another invulnerability. And we're going to deal with another Nightmare Cyber. These have been really quick kills. I need to grab that ammo. So my invulnerability is wearing off, so that's just why I'm saving. Because it is still luck if I get this. Come on. Okay, that one hit. If I can get there in time. Perfect. So, exit the secret here. Turn left. There should be a Nightmare Cyber on my left. Perfect. Yeah, and this is stuff that I had to trial and error to figure out for this category and the speed category. It just happens to work out that triggering everything ahead of time and doing the speed strats is optimal for the first half. So, now we're going to get 4 or 5 normal Mother Demons, a ton of other enemies, and then eventually a Nightmare Mother Demon will show up. This is going to be the bulk of killing. Now the important thing is that there are still a bunch of flyers, and unfortunately, Pain Elementals also show up here. So they're going to start spawning Lost Souls and make things a real pain in the butt. So I have to keep my eye out for them and deal with them ASAP. So if I see Lost Souls, I need to book it to wherever I see them and get rid of them. And you can see my ammo draining very rapidly, so I need to make sure I also pick up a whole bunch of cells in this area. And the thing is that several cell packs get stacked on top of each other. If you run at them full speed, you will not pick everything up at once. So I actually have to briefly stop to be able to pick up the cell packs. And that's very dangerous because you can see a lot of stuff around me. I just got hit and reduced to 28 HP right there. So you can see this is an extremely dangerous part of the fight and why this is a very scary end of the run. So thankfully there are several megaspheres on the outside. I don't have to get back to the secret in order to deal with stuff, but I will actually do that right now because I do kind of need to restock on ammo. Oh, I actually did manage to get that secret to show up. Okay, there it is again. So I'm going to pick up the final vulnerability just to put myself in the fray. Since I'm mostly dashing on the outsides of the arena, I want to pick up the cells that are like closer to the middle. It's just good ammo conservation that way. If I can find the ammo, where are all the cell packs at? Conveniently, I was going in the right direction because a pain element was over there, but I need to find where all these cell packs are at. That's something. So, like I said, very, very chaotic. Very difficult to keep track of everything. I don't really have like a full strat, I just kind of have a vibe. That was a lot of damage. I'm very scared. I hope I can make it to this megasphere in time. And I'm just like barely dodging everything else on the way too. I have no ammo. This is really bad. I think the Nightmare Mother Demon is also on the loose. Okay. There's a bunch of ammo there. Yep, the Nightmare Mother's on the loose. Okay, that should take care of all the normal Mother Demons. I just need to make sure I clear everything else out. So we're going to sweep the map. We're going to make sure there's no more pain elementals, no more anything else. Oh my god. I am also sorry for everyone's eardrums. There's been a lot of UnMaker. Alright, so just a few more enemies it looks like.
This reminds me of Serious Sam, if anyone remembers that franchise.
Yes, all we need are the screams at this point. Okay, I don't think there's anything else. I don't see anything else coming after me. So if we manage to get 100%, good. If not, then I have to sit through the credits and reload the save. So, pray that this is going to be it right here. Also, there's going to be a very loud bunch of Mother Demons showing up when I kill this Mother Demon. So brace your ears right now. So, let's see what we got and if this is actually it. Time!
Hey, GG's. What a way to end a run. Just loud screaming.
That's how I feel when I
goodness.
play this wide.
Riba coming in with the 20 gifted subs. Thank you so much for that.
Wow, thank you, Squiba. Oh, and I'm looking at the time right now, 2:29 for a marathon run. That's very good. My PB in this is 2:15, and you can see how much things can go awry. So that is why I set the estimate as high as I did. Just... Oh, but that is the UnMaking. Watch Me Die Max. I hope you enjoyed. It's a wonderful WOD by Squiba. And you should check out their other WODs as well. And just the community scene for like custom map making in Doom, PC Doom and Doom 64. You can always find stuff for you. It's just so much fun. I'm glad I get to showcase some of that hard work.
Absolutely, and now's a great time for shout-outs or tell people where they can learn more about you or the community or anything that's going on. Like, you've put in so much work today doing this run for 3 hours by yourself. People, please go check out Zello, follow them, check out YouTube, whatever it is you got to plug. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yes, thank you. So you can find me at twitch.tv/Zelo or on YouTube. That's 3 L's and 3 O's. I do speedruns of this and other assorted games. I also love music games, and so if you want to see lots of Pump It Up, like I frequently do on that channel, and also sometimes on Hotfix and Marathons, you can see that. And if you want to not even just speedrun, but play any custom Doom 64 stuff, or just to get involved with the community, I believe Morpher has a link to our community server in there. You can get set up if you want to play, just chill, do custom things, or even get involved with the speedrunning scene yourself. I don't have a whole lot of great guides, but I'm certainly happy to walk you through stuff. If for any category in the base game or this WOD in particular. I do want to show off one of the maps. So there are a bunch of bonus maps. I haven't routed any of them out, but we're just going to kind of just show a little bit of the geometry of what you can expect if you decide to take on this really cool wad. So I'm going to turn invulnerability on. I'm going to turn on no clip just for a second, just so I can clip through walls. So this is Colors Out of Space. This has a bunch of really cool gimmicks, just like the cool geometry and everything. You can see just really, really abstract. And this is the kind of stuff that's really, really neat. We didn't really talk about this during the run, but like Doom 64, the colored lighting is very specific to this engine, and this wad uses it to such great degree. You have this really cool night, like rainbow bridge right here. I will show this off. If you manage to make it to the end of this level in particular, you can have 2 cyber demons on one side and 2 on the other.
Oh my
I'll let
God.
you figure out how to deal with that.
I can see why you haven't
It's
routed
pretty
it.
scary. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm Zelo. Thank you for having me. I'm always super happy to be on different shows for Hotfix. This was actually not a show I expected to be on, so thank you, Cutie, for reaching out, for having me on for this. And
It's been an
I am very
absolute
happy.
pleasure.
I'm very happy, but I'm also very hungry, and I'm ready to go eat. So I will see y'all next time whenever I do something for this, and I will pass
I
it
just
back
wanna
off to you,
say-
Cutie.
That is very, very fair. You have earned a pizza, cake, whatever your dinner of choice is. Yes, cake is sometimes a dinner too, chat.
Oh, I actually forgot to mention, today actually is my birthday, so this was my fun birthday present to myself. So thank y'all for having me. I'm going to have birthday dinner now.
Yes. Yes, that's why I brought up cake. So we did plan this out a month or 2 ago. Thank you so much for joining us, celebrating with us. Please go check them out. Give them we gave them a shout out in chat to make sure you can find them. Go check out their stream. Does amazing stuff all the time. But don't go anywhere, chat. We have the scenic route coming up, and if I'm looking at this schedule right, it has Hollow Knight, Silksong, any percent hitless. You know I'm not going to miss that. I hope you're not going to either. So stick around. We will be right back with the scenic route in just a few minutes.